Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bevvies with the boys and Munchables. Up in the top left is Dagda, and today we are joined by two very special guests. We've got our colleague from the LPL, it's Lyric, over to my left, and above me, very special guest, IWDominate, joining us over from North America. Apologies about the horrendous time zones, mate. I'm sure I actually have no idea. I guess it must be like midday for you right now.
Yeah, it's noon. It's fine for me. It's worse for Lyric for sure.
Yeah.
So, what time is it where you are at, Lyric, right now?
It is 3 a.m.
Okay, so Lyric's in the party hours. Dom's day drinking, and me and Dagda, well, it's 8 o'clock.
We're pre-drinks.
Yeah, we're pre-drinks right now. So let's do a quick little whip around and introduce ourselves and whatnot. So Dom, do you want to go first? Let us know. I mean, everyone knows who you are already, I'm sure, but let us know what you got going on right now, and let us know what you're drinking tonight.
So I am going full degen. So yeah, I'm obviously Dom. I'm the resident crackhead on Twitch.television talking about Worlds 2020. I do two of my own podcasts, and I am drinking White Claw hard seltzer black cherry. So I'm just gonna be being a straight degen, just like a fucking degenerate college kid drinking White Claw, just flaming League players. Sounds good,
dude.
To me.
I miss White Claws. You keep those in Shanghai.
Is White Claw a new thing? Because I saw it like blow up on Twitter like maybe 6 months, a year ago or something.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the past years, like the new hipster trend.
Yeah. All right,
but well, it's a nice trend.
When I tried it, I thought it was going to be like Mike's hard seltzer, like that kind of real sweet thing, but it's more like fizzy water. Like that's the kind of taste that has.
The thing I like about it is it gets you drunk without you realizing. Though
it's like
I enjoy that.
It's like a Smirnoff Ice, right? Where it's basically just tastes like lemonade, but
it's like nuts. It's not really sweet. That's the thing. Yeah. It's like it's pretty much purely just like carbonated, like sparkling water, just with alcohol in it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Interesting. That honestly sounds terrible to me, but maybe I'm just weird. Lyric.
No, it's pretty terrible. Yeah, it's terrible.
Lyric, do you want to give us a quick little intro and let us know what you're drinking as well?
I like to consider myself a connoisseur, hipster League of Legends, coached in LMS, coached in Brazil. Now I am a commentator alongside you two gentlemen in Shanghai. So I'm drinking a Kaiserdom, which is a German dark lager. But I know you two drink a lot, so I came prepared also with a Heineken and some soju for when we talk about Damwon. And if it gets really crazy, I have a double shot of whiskey in my kitchen. So
holy moly. You're ready for anything. Jesus Christ. I was not expecting someone to bring an arsenal to the table. I feel I'm the host of the show and I've been heavily outdone.
With you guys for. I know how you guys drink.
I remember the last time you did whiskey. Maybe you should leave the whiskey to the
That's
side.
the end of the night. That's the end of the night. All right, Dagda, what are you drinking tonight?
So I went with mango infused vodka, which was actually really, really nice, but I got lime soda water to mix with it because I bought the wrong thing like an idiot. But it actually worked out really well. But the thing was I had to try it first to make sure it was okay. So I'm already a glass deep because it turned out I really liked it. So I'm good to go. But yeah, I'm an LPL color caster, work alongside Jordan and Joe Munchables as well. So
sweet.
That's me.
All right, and I've played it pretty basic. I was going to go get some gin today, but I never had time. So I'm on the Hobgoblin, and then I've got an old Speckled Hen to follow up, and then I've got a fridge full of more Hobgoblins. So we're on the ale tonight, lads. So I'm going to pour myself a pint, and let's begin the conversation with how the quarterfinals started, I guess. Let's go as they went on the broadcast. So I guess it was Dragon X versus Damwon was our first series. And, conversationally, I would say that Dragon X versus Damwon was probably the least interesting quarterfinal to talk about. Like, honestly, that just kind of went, I think, how most people expected that to go. Like, Damwon are just, they're just a machine, man. Like, what do you... like, if you're Dragon X coming into that series, what do you even do to, like, try and prepare for that? Because it just feels to me like Damwon are just a step above in terms of just individual players.
It's impossible to win. I mean, it's literally the LCK finals in quarterfinals. So it's one of those things where it's like you pretty much just have to start angrily tweeting at the tournament organizers before the match starts. because the only chance you have of getting out is an impromptu bracket change. There's no way to actually win that series. Like, you've seen it before, you know what it's like. Even in like the second game, like you saw in the game that was kind of close how hard they still ended up losing. And it's just like, yeah, that's the type of game that to me makes you feel like you could never win. It was like Gen G game 1 versus G2, where once they lost that game, it's like, okay, so you had Soul Point, you have complete control, you have a defined win condition, you're a better team fighting comp. They have to fight you at this time. If you can't execute that, you cannot win the fucking game. It's going to be a 3-0, wrap it up, go next.
Yeah,
I kind of agree. It was kind of the whole way along. I was just like, okay, so we're looking at Damwon, who you go into a team fight even, and Damwon just out team fights you. DRX are trying to play a similar style when they get ahead to Damwon, except Damwon just execute it better. And even when DRX were trying to like go for these invades and trying to like snowball their leads, they'd end up just giving kills over to Damwon, and they're like, "Oh, you silly child, let me show you how it's done," and they just run away with the game from there. It felt like you got 1 or 2 mistakes on DRX's side, and you were just done for.
I'm not gonna lie, this is the least memorable match to me after the past 3 days of Worlds. I don't even remember what happened. I remember Damwon outclassed him in every area. The only even memorable part of that series to me was when I think Doran hit a nice shock blast comboed with Chovy's Orianna ultimate, and they got 1 kill, and they almost got back into I think it was game 1. But, I mean, they got smashed in every area. One thing Damwon's still good at is playing around, like, pockets of vision denial, right, and, like, finding those great angles for flanks. And they're such an objective-focused team that I don't think Dragon X had any chance.
I think it says a lot that, thinking back on the series, the most positive thing you can think of for Dragon X was that they got a kill. 1 kill is all the memorable moments for them. Yeah, Damwon, I think, just look exceptional. And when you look towards, like, in fact, I think we'll circle back on the following matchups after we've talked through each of the quarterfinals, but, like, let's just quickly talk through, because I don't really want to focus on Dragon X necessarily. I don't feel like that they were a team that was necessarily like a bad team at the tournament or anything like that, but I feel like they ended up against a team that stylistically just is fairly similar and just better at the same job. So let's talk Damwon, and moving to the semifinals then. What would you guys say is the biggest strength that Damwon have right now in terms of just how they're getting onto the map? Because, like, I would say that Damwon have looked like the most consistent team in the entire tournament right now. Would you guys say that is equal to being the best team in the tournament right now? Would you guys say that Damwon are the favorites moving forwards?
I'm not really sure how because I really hate judging teams like this because, right, we don't see them pushed all too much, and then when we see them pushed, like in that game against JDG, right, they are still scrappy enough to where they are going to fight you when they shouldn't necessarily go for it. But the thing that stands out to me about Damwon, I think you can talk about a ton of things, right? I think Canyon's been outstanding this tournament. The meta's perfect for their bot lane. I think their drafts are really good. But the thing that, like, puts them a cut above a lot of the other teams to me is that it looks like they don't do anything without purpose, and they're always like 5 people on the same page. It reminds me a lot of like some of the strengths we highlighted of JDG, right? Almost any skirmish or any kill is going to lead to them stealing a camp, taking Dragon, taking Rift Herald, getting plates, getting a turret. Like, it always leads somewhere to where, you know, we can't say the same with, I'd say, pretty much every other team left in the tournament.
Yep. I think the meta suits them actually, like, perfectly. Like, they're just used to playing around jungle, right? Like, that is they're a top side focused team. They've always been a top side focused team. And the meta right now is you can play so many different carry top laners, or you can just play like the bruiser top laners that can push for lane prio and stuff like that. So you go for, you know, Reactin, Volibear, Orin, whatever, and then you just gank the lane once with Canyon, drop the Herald, and get a massive gold lead on your jungler and your top laner and just run over the game. Also, like, all the picks, like, Canyon was playing all these picks early on in LCK. Like, he was one of the first adopters of the Graves, Nidalee, you know, Lilia, whatever meta that we're in right now, Kindred, etc. He didn't play as much Kindred as the other ones, but mainly Nidalee and Graves have been like the 2 powerhouse picks this tournament. And it feels like no other team, like every other team is playing catch up like when you look at G2, for example, who they're going to be facing off in semis, it wasn't like Jankos played one game of Nidalee all of LEC. Not even in finals, not in semifinals, not in quarters, not in the losers bracket, not in fucking regular season. Like, zero Nidalee. Literally zero fucking Nidalee. And now it's like he gets to the tournament, and obviously they're scrimming against other teams. They play against some of these other teams. They probably get shit on by a couple of Nidalees, and it's like, okay, this shit is OP if you play it like this. If you play for the Nidalee, you play for Prio. You have Nidalee early take the Herald, or Graves early take the Herald, and then you push for topside. Like, you played a little bit of Graves, but not much. And it's not G2's comfort. So I think that just stylistically, like the meta that the teams have kind of agreed upon, that's the strongest right now, Nidalee, Graves, etc. Lane Prio top laners, like things like Renekton. I mean, how many games of Renekton Nidalee do we see out of Dom 1 in LCK? So right now, it's like everyone has adapted to them.
Yeah, even their bot lane, right? Like, these are the perfect picks for Ghost. It's so nice getting to see Ghost play things like the Jhin, the Ashe every game, and it fits their bot lane so perfect.
And they're so good at snowballing through that bot lane as well. Like, if you look at game 1 versus DRX, it was like, okay, well, they got an advantage with Ghost and Beryl bot side. Instantly canyons into the enemy jungle. You got Ghost and Beryl that are supporting them. And they just snowball so effectively through it. Like, it's impossible that, like, you give up these small, tiny advantages and Canyon's just like, oh, yeah, cool. Here's how I turn this into a 2-level lead by, like, 18 minutes. Like, it's ridiculous.
I do want to say, like, saying that so, because I still remember game of Draven they played towards the end of LCK where they didn't put any resources in the bot lane. He didn't get any kills or any stacks. Yeah, it's actually crazy to think that's how they play even with these picks.
Yeah, I think maybe the only team in the world where they would draft a Draven and not play towards the Draven. Like, that concept, if you give that to any analyst, it's just like such a bizarre concept.
We do that in NA. I believe our NA teams will pull that one off.
That one could go in the trophy cabinet. Yep. All right. Well, I do just want to quickly say as well, I found it funny that you're mentioning, Dom, you mentioned Jankos and the Nidalee and the lack of Nidalee previously. The hilarious thing about that to me is that we saw that today out of Jankos, and then immediately on Twitter, it's just full of memes about Jankos missing spears on Nidalee. It's just like, it shows. It shows.
Well, missing spears is like, it's different than people think, because it's not like he's just like aiming the skill shot poorly, or it's like, oh man, like he threw a max range spear and they dodged it, he must suck at Nidalee. Like, it's impossible to fucking land spears on Nidalee. You can just tell that the team is in practice with Nidalee, because it's not like he's waiting for the CC to land before he's throwing his spear. He's just chucking out spears on cooldown and hoping like one of them fucking land. Like, later on in the game, he was landing more of them when he was following up like obvious CC chains like Pantheon TF stun one person. How fucking easy is it to just click your Q on somebody who's stunned for 3.5 seconds? But early on in the game, this is the reason why I think that G2 needs to just stylistically approach Dom1 differently, is because of, like the 3v3 early game topside. You see TF, Camille, Nidalee take a 3v3 on the top side of the map where TF is first move, and then you just lose it because, like, Nidalee's just throwing random fucking spears. Like, it's very simple, the combo. Like, when you play Renekton Nidalee, you play TF Nidalee, you play Camille Nidalee, it's always the same combo. One person stuns, you throw the spear, land the spear, follow up, one-shot the guy, go to the next target. And that fight was completely winnable if they just combo properly. Like, just hold on to the spear, just keep it in your fucking pants, like hit the TF gold card.
I feel like that's advice you've given before in your life. Keep the spear in your pants.
No. Keep the fucking spear in your pants. Let's literally, like, or at least wrap up the spear before you, like, whatever. The point is you need to fucking wait for that TF card to throw that spear. And if they do that, Nidalee had flash, can flash out, they can kite out the situation. Azir is not strong level 5. You can win the game off that fight. And we've seen Dom1 with that same exact comp do that. Nidalee, TF, Camille. Seen it out of Dom1 the first time they played JDG. How hard did they shit on JDG that first game? And it was because they understand, like, how to play that combo. It feels like G2 is trying to, like, copy other teams that are strong when they're playing those styles of comps. And I think it's more of like a bluff that they won that first game, because it's like, oh, nice, we won with that comp, so now they're not going to let us draft it again. Cool. So they're taking away TF, and then we just get to play Sylas. That's the comfort for G2. That's what they want to do. They want to play Sylas into TF. They want to play like all the counter picks and just like relax and let the game come to them, and just be able to like play off things that are more comfortable to them, like Caps carrying and not being a jungle-centric team. When you look at G2 stylistically, they have their jungler play around the lanes. But right now, the meta is actually the opposite at Worlds, where the lanes are playing around the jungler. So it's not super comfortable for them. And if they're going to beat Dom1, they actually need to like play a different style, because I don't think they'll beat Dom1 at their own game like they beat Gen G with like the Dom1 style comps.
All right. Well, I'm going to put a pin in that, and we'll return to that conversation because I think there's a lot more to be said about G2. There's a lot more to be said about Dan1 as well. But let's go through and hit each of the quarters first before we start talking matchups too much. So we'll move on to the second one, which was an all LPL quarterfinal. And I have to say,
for this one. Hold on 1 second.
I feel like we were sort of robbed of a game in that quarterfinal. I thought that was going to be a full 5-game series. I thought it was going to, go the distance, but Suning kind of showed JDG up. And I think one of the most interesting things is that when you look at the way the meta is, when you look at teams playing towards junglers, when you look at junglers playing carry picks like Kindred, surely JDG is the team that you would expect to be thriving in this meta. JDG is the team that you would expect to be completely in their comfort zone. And it's not felt like that this tournament. I expected JDG to be the best team in the world at playing this style. And it feels like they've almost got worse at this style than they were back in the LPL.
Well, I think it's so weird because we look at the drafts for one all tournament. They're so strange, right? We think back to groups where they kept trying to run these the Silas jungle, which gets outpaced and outdueled by everything in this meta. And they were running like those 4-man kind of dive comps, right? It was Silas, Echo, Set, Pantheon, great at like diving side lane turrets or jumping on an 80 carry, but it was strange. Then we come into this best of 5. They get their Zoe in that first game. You think, okay, great. Yagao, right? LeBlanc and Zoe, 2 best champions. It looks okay. They had that really bad dragon setup. I think he had the 3rd Drake, but still, it looked good. It looked like JDG. And then for some reason after that, I don't know why they never went back to that pick. And why they kept trying to play, right, the Twisted Fates. They pulled out the Blitzcrank, which Lumao didn't really look comfortable on at all. Even stylistically, we saw JDG setting up around objectives so horribly. Even the early game leads, they weren't those same ones we saw them get in the LPL, right, where it's those crisp map movements from Lumao and Kanavi. It was them trading Drakes for taking plates and things along these lines, just finding solo kills in lanes. And I don't know what happened to JDG. This was not the JDG that we watched all year long.
That was the big one for me, was looking at the strength of their mid jungle 2v2. Usually they draft super good ones, so then they can actually use Kanavi's pressure, use the pressure Zoom gets top, go and invade top side. We get a bunch of camps, so set Kanavi on its way. We're all on the way. We're good to go. But then this, as you said, not going back, going towards the Twisted Fate and this Lilia pick meant that they couldn't really have the 2v2s. You got Zoom on this Renekton with a bunch of pressure topside that they can't actually use. And then it just all started to fall apart. And almost, I think there was 2 at least, if not 3 games where they got double scuttled at the start of the game. So already SOFM is off to a great start. And he had a fantastic series. But honestly, he was already given just such a good footing into the game off of that early stages.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you start fucking, dude, put me in that game right now. I played GP 3 times in my life. Give me a Sheen on GP. Put me in a lane for Zoom. But I think a fucking toddler could win that fucking lane. That's the easiest lane to get. And the weird thing about watching the series is when you watched LPL teams, right? It felt like watching LPL, it would kind of devolve into Zoe having super high prio throughout the series. It would be all right, one team gets the 3rd pick Zoe on red side. And the next game, it's all right, the Zoe's 1-2'd. And the game after that, it's fucking first picked of the entire draft. The game after that, it's fucking permabanned. It's the Zoe would just escalate in priority as the series rose on. But now you have Zoe just going through the whole draft. It's do you not know who fucking Yagao is? Somebody needs to slap Yagao and be yo, pick fucking Zoe. You're a Zoe goddamn one trick, and they're giving it to you every single game. It's not time to pick TF. I don't want to see your TF. I don't want to see you try to experiment with other picks or show how expansive your champion pool. It's LeBlanc, Zoe. And if you think it's a bad game for LeBlanc, maybe I'll let you play Echo or some shit. But I don't want to see the TF. I don't his TF looked fucking awful. How many times did you see him just flash, not even be in range of the gold card? He just flashes forward.
Yeah, I remember that. That was so painful.
The QSS
just turns around.
Dude, it was horrible. It was actually so sad to watch. And the thing is, right, everyone's criticized Yagao all year long. He's definitely not a superstar or anything, but Yagao was always serviceable and great on his champions. So seeing this series was so weird. Seeing JDG all worlds was so strange. And just a small point that I want to go back to Tom made about the GP in game 3. It blew my mind that they banned it in game 4. That was their takeaway from game 3. That GP, man, it was too strong.
Yeah, it's so cringe when teams do that. They overfocus. They're yeah, the GP got huge. It's oh, do you think it had anything to do with him starting with a fucking Sheen? Did anyone see this motherfucker start with a fucking Sheen? Is it just me that saw this shit? Of course he lost lane Volbear versus GP when he starts with a fucking Sheen.
But that's the thing. it wasn't even just the Sheen. Like, Zoom actually did a really good job of playing around it and was like, okay, he's 20 CS down, whatever. But he was still fine. It was Lu Mao on the bottom side who's trying to force fucking everything as a result of them going down, that they just ended up over giving everything across the map to them, and then they just fell apart. Like, yeah, the GP was like a small thing that kind of put pressure on them because they had a composition that needed to fight in mid game. But realistically, it was them just going over the top aggressive because they felt that they needed to try and snowball something somewhere, and then giving a bunch of kills across anyway.
I mean, there's that tweet of Lu Mao's in-game comms, right? Like, I'm bored, I want to fight. I feel like maybe that's a little bit of that coming through. He just wants to fight to try and get hold of the game. But on the other side of the coin as well, Suning, I think, showing up in a big way. And I think that Suning are very quickly becoming one of the favorites for the whole tournament, certainly in my heart. But I want to hear what you guys have to say, because I'm slightly biased. I don't know if that's come across just yet.
This is my take. I think TES is just going to 3-0 shit on Suning. I think they're just going to dick Suning. I don't think it's going to be even close.
I actually think TS will 3-0 too. Oh, God.
I think it's 3-1. I'll give them one game.
Get off of my podcast, you motherfuckers. 3-2 Suning. Let's go. All right, so talk me through the thought process here, because I definitely agree that, like, stylistically, these guys, it's a lot through winning lanes, right? It's a lot through, like, dominant carries. And Suning are up against some of the best in the world here.
The semi-final just sticks in my too vividly, honestly. Seeing Huanfeng and Sword Art just get shit on, like 3 games I've been getting shit on. Dude, do you remember 369's Jax? Like, they just got shit on every game in lane.
Mordekaiser into the Jax. Holy shit. It was brutal. But when I think about that series, all I think about is SOFM with his phase rush Skarner in game 3. I just didn't even want to see that. Please just get that off my screen. I don't want to see a phase rush Skarner. That's how you know it's fucking doomed when that's your pick.
Well, I think he'd given up at that point, honestly. I saw the Skarner, I was like, this is fucking doomed, boys. Like,
yeah. That's one where you just wrap it up. I mean, the thing about Suning that I really don't like is it feels like they have a lot of weaknesses that aren't being properly exploited. I mean, one of them is like they just don't pick tank tops ever, no matter what. It's just like they can never play an Orin or a Scion or any of that shit. And I feel like 369 has just been super versatile as a player, right? Like that's how I've used 369. He's the guy that can play fucking tanks. He can play the Renekton. He can play the counters to Renekton. He can play the counters to the tanks. If you pick something like Mordekaiser, he's got the carries like Ben does. He has the Jax. I just feel like 369 is a more complete player than Ben as far as the games I've observed. And then, I mean, the other thing that I just really think is an issue for them is just Huanfeng versus Jackie Love. Like, it wasn't close last time. Like, when you watch that last series, it was like 30 CS lane leads. Like, they were getting pushed in. Jackie Love's dry humping the motherfucking turret. Like, it was some crazy shit that went on in that series. So, like, people have this perception of Huanfeng because they see him, like, popping off in all these games. But they're not thinking back to, like, when Jackie Love was just 30 CS up every single lane. Like, 10 minutes in, he's just taking, like, every single plate after plate after plate. He's up 2,000 gold and shit like that. Like, Huanfeng looks good on Jhin. When he played Jhin into Jackie Love's Caitlyn, he's down 40 CS in lane. So, I don't know, man. I think that Suning are pretty outmatched. That being said, they've looked a lot better this tournament than they did in LPL, and TS just looks a lot worse as well. So maybe it'll be closer.
So that was the thing I wanted to bring up next, is the fact that, especially when it comes to that bot lane 2v2, and Lyric and I spoke very briefly about this earlier today, is that, yes, Top Esports did absolutely fucking body them a few weeks ago, but Suning look a lot better, and also Top Esports, Yuyanja especially, has been having a really rough tournament. Like, when we look at their quarterfinal, Yuyanja is a liability and a half. And I genuinely think Suning are playing a lot more aggressive than they were back in the LPL. So I feel like that's maybe something that SOFM could even come down and exploit as well. And Suning could play towards that weakness, because it is a glaring weakness right now for Top Esports.
But that's kind of my problem, right? Is even though I think we've seen Suning play better, it's like we've seen Suning play around their 2v2. We haven't really seen Huanfeng and Sword Art like shitting on anyone in lane. They're not really ganking bot. Sure, we can think back to the Draven game against the Rakan Twitch, but I think that one's right. An outlier. It was a prepared strategy against those picks. I think this one is going to be...
Wow, that's crazy. Wait, it's almost like Draven counters a Twitch Rakan blind pick. I would have never thought that was possible. So that's something that we learned over the course of this tournament.
I still remember the Crackdown episode, everyone meme or, saying, why are you picking these champions? So, what do we know? But I also think another thing, going back to how Dom said there could be something that aren't getting exploited by Suning, is even though I think Suning played the meta style pretty well, I still think SOFM and the laners are pretty like autonomous from each other, right? Like we don't actually see SOFM and Bin really interact in the early game. Like either way, Bin helping with SOFM's invades or SOFM ganking. Angel, I think, has done better at Worlds than he did in Summer in this regard, in terms of like covering for SOFM and helping with those invades. And Sword Art's still doing it, but I think this is an area that I guess TS won't punish, right? Because they don't play for jungle. But I also think this will give TS a lot of breathing room to be like, oh, well, your jungle and your laners are pretty, autonomous and by themselves. Well, I'm just going to go back to ganking mid, ganking top, maybe shutting down bot lane, as we saw that Jackie Love and Yuyanja can do. And yeah, I can't imagine too many ways that Suning can win this series with some of their draft problems, like Dom said, not being able to play tank tops. And 369 for me, even coming into this tournament, I love Zoom. I think 369 is the best top laner in the LPL. Again, I fucking love this guy. He can play Maokai. He can play Quinn. He can play Janna. He does it all, and that sells me.
Jax.
Dude, exactly. He plays monster on Jax. So I think a lot of Suning's strengths will be nullified against TS, and I think Karsa will have a lot easier time in this matchup with how the lanes and the jungle interact from Suning.
Yeah, I think the only way I kind of see Suning winning this is if they do manage to actually punish that bot lane. Because when I look at SOFM, a lot of the plays that he's made and a lot of the advantage he's gotten has been like, oh, well, we've got like a good lane that's working for me. Right. Instead of going for a Rift Herald or a Dragon, I'm going to go in and just take this entire side of the jungle from the opponent, and then I'm going to have a massive advantage. But the thing is, when you're playing against top esports, you have to try and find those advantages in the lane. So unless you're punishing through that bottom side, and you can then use that to snowball SOFM off of picking up all these extra jungle camps, I just feel like he's not going to have the same impact we've seen from him throughout groups and throughout playoffs. And then you'll just have top esports just being better than them in team fights. That being said, though, I think Suning massively stepped up against JDG in team fights. I was really impressed with the way they played them. So maybe they can eke some back there, but realistically, I still think this is top esports.
Suning, cool thing about Suning, like in each skirmish, one member will have some like cool pop off phone. That one GP barrel, whatever skirmish Juan Fong came for the flank, was just so beautiful because honestly, JDG should have won that fight like 9 times out of 10. But that one barrel completely clutched the situation. I do think JDG out of the fights pretty sus though, honestly. The Zoom flank in game 4, man, that was not my thing.
Zoom was the imposter for sure. Can we just take a moment as well can we just appreciate the Juan Fong secret agent ult where he literally pushes the mid wave so he can get inside JDG's base and then ult from behind them?
The mic check?
No, I didn't.
See the mic check today?
No, I didn't see my check.
Zoom was actually surprised. He's like, "Wait, what the fuck? Like, he's behind us? Like they actually didn't know." Yeah.
Did they show his reaction when the GB came to lane with a fucking Sheen? Did anyone? I would love to just say like
something along the lines of, "Are you fucking?" What?
Like, because you think about that start, right? Like, generally speaking, Sapphire Crystal is like a more passive start, because you're than the corrupting potion, because obviously you don't get the extra damage from the potion when you're trading. And you don't get the HP value, so it's normally just like you spike on the Sheen. How lucky is it that he started a Sapphire Crystal intending to just like chill out in the lane, and then he gets the fucking 2 kills level 1 and starts with the Sheen, man.
When you say like that as well, when you think about it, it's like one of the only situations where First Blood Gold is this level of impact to the game, right? Like, because that's already like a buy that you're banking on later, right? But then you get the 700 gold from the 2 kills. It's like perfectly adds up to get you the Sheen. It's like the stars fucking aligned for that advantage to appear. There's like no other champion and item that can get that level of advantage off of just 2 kills to start the lane. That's actually
700 gold is such like a weird gold value too, because normally like people are going to be starting.
It's like not enough for a pickaxe or anything like that.
Yeah, it's not enough for a pickaxe. Like it's like 2 longswords on certain shit. I mean, that'd be pretty insane if you played like in a lane versus a Renekton. He has a door and shield, and then he comes with door and shield and 2 longswords, and you start the lane. It's like, wait, hold up. Like I'm supposed to be able to like pressure you early, but I guess you can just beat me level 1 with like auto attacks in your Q. I don't know. It's fucking. It's just such a weird series. I mean, JDG was the most underwhelming team for me compared to like what I thought they were going to be. Like this was a team where I legitimately thought there would be like top 2 in the world. I had top and then JDG and then Dom1 coming into the tournament. That was my mentality. towards these teams. And part of the reason was because they're supposed to be a jungle-centric team, and this is a jungle-centric meta. It seemed like they were the most willing to play around their jungler out of any team, right? Like, if you watch how they played their Kindred games, how they played their Graves games, etc., it's all about Kanavi. Lamau is early leaving his lane, grouping with Kanavi, dual warding all over the place, and they're just taking over the game through jungle. It didn't feel like they did that once this entire tournament. Like, where did they just forget how to like dual ward? That was like the main thing that I was talking about in LPL playoffs, was how good they were at syncing their base timings together, going to the enemy jungle, getting deep vision together, translating that into either like ganking to get Kanavi ahead, or just translating it into like Dragon and things like that. It felt like that got completely lost this tournament. So it was super weird. Like in group stage, I was kind of thinking, oh, maybe they just like, you know, they know they're going to get out no matter what, so they don't want to show too much. But in this series, they just got shit on. So, I mean, they're out of the fucking tournament. I don't know what happened to their strategies.
I guess it, right? Like when things like this happen, I think we always have to think probably something happened in scrims.
Yeah.
I think it's also very telling that their coach came out right when like Worlds was about to start and said, oh, this meta doesn't favor us. It favors teams like TS and Suning. Things like that just made me, what the fuck? This should be your... You guys were picking Kindred in like the first week of spring when everyone was playing Lee Sin and Jarvan. Like, this is your time. So I can only imagine what happened in their scrims to make them think, like, okay, Silas jungle is the answer.
You know what happened?
Yeah.
They played against fucking TSM in their scrims, and Speaker just 1v9 every game, and they're like, fuck it, we can't play this shit anymore. These guys are too good. And they just dropped all their strategies. They're like, Silas jungle is the only thing we can play now.
Yeah, there was just there was 9-man sleeps every single game. It's just unbeatable. I think the thing that it reminded me of when you look at JDG and that interview specifically as well, is G2 in finals last year, right? When they have this tournament where they're playing like out of their fucking minds, and they got into the finals, and the way they drafted and the way they played felt completely different to the way they'd been playing the rest of the tournament. It felt like they had already gone in with the expectation of, we can't fucking beat this team. Let's just try and do something crazy to just find ways to get into the... That was similar in my mind to the way that JDG have approached the tournament, where it's like, it feels like they were already defeated behind the scenes somewhere, and this was kind of the interpretation.
We Suning were odds, right? So who knows? Maybe JDG scrimmed Suning a lot, right? Had some kind of like 10% record against them, came in thinking this was the way or whatever. I guess it's all speculation, but you're right.
Nah, it was TSM. It had to be TSM.
Only explanation. All right, let's move on to the next quarterfinal then anyway. So Fnatic top esports, fucking hell, what a banger. Like, results aside, what a fucking series. And especially from the perspective of Fnatic, both exceptional for the first two games, and then a bit of a heartbreak, bit of an embarrassment, honestly, for Fnatic, right? First ever reverse sweep in Worlds history. Like, I can't help but feel like Reckless is got to be like hurting inside in a big way.
He played
right
so
now.
fucking well.
He played so well.
That guy played so well.
And like, it feels like Reckless is just cursed or something, man. It feels like
I have a
he
question
always
for
shows
people.
up when it needs to happen. But go on, yeah.
So did anyone watch the Do&B translated best of 5 rundown between TES and Fnatic?
No.
No.
Because that was the biggest banger of a commentary I've ever watched in my entire life. I want to give him all the money I have after seeing that. Literally, that commentary was just him inventing new ways to flame Nemesis. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. He literally just flamed Nemesis for like 2 hours straight. Like, he was talking about, he's like, I wonder which way that Nemesis could go home. Like, could he take a plane home? Actually, I think he just donated to me his plane money. Maybe a rocket ship? Like, how good is he at swimming? Like, does he have any goggles around? Let me see if I have any fucking goggles around that I could lay on Nemesis so he can swim the fuck home, this worthless motherfucker. Like, this guy went in so hard. I've never seen anything like it in my goddamn life.
Do you know the best thing about all of this as well is when you look at what Nemesis played during the series. After last year, Nemesis calling Do&B the worst mid laner at the tournament and all this shit, he plays Predator Galio in the mid lane and roams instead of farming. Like, that is what Do&B does. That is the worst possible way to play mid lane, according to you.
Yeah, I mean, you know what happened to him though? He's like, no, let me just play control mages versus caps. And he literally got shit on for 9 months straight playing control mages versus caps. And he's like, you know what? I'm just going to pick a champion that I can farm on, that's at least useful later on with the minimal amounts of gold, because I am not getting much gold when I'm playing against fucking caps. Like, he he literally got his shit pushed in for long enough that he just adapted to the do and be style. He went to the do and be style not by choice, by force. He got forcefully put on the do and be style by perks in spring, by caps in summer. Like, he is forced to now play Galio, Lucian, Orianna. If you ban Lucian, Orianna, he's just not the same fucking player. Like, those champions are just so easy to like get through lane on that it's just a crutch. And then they took it away from him finally, like game 4, game 5. They just banned out Lucian, Orianna. Now he's on Vel'Koz, now he's on Galio, now he's on TF, and he's not doing anything to fucking carry his team.
And that's why I'm so glad Nemesis picked Galio as the sole AP damage against Sion.
I know.
It just made so much sense.
Hey, whoa, hey. I don't want to take the step back because I can't flame Fnatic drafts compared to TS drafts this series.
Yeah,
My God,
That's true.
that game 2 draft fucking blows my mind. You pick what was it? It was Jarvan gangplank Silas into Orianna, Braum, Kindred. Like, the fuck are Jarvan and Silas gonna do? They're gonna jump in, get tagged with the Braum passive, Lambs or Spy, Orianna, everything's there. I can't even like make sense of how they came to this conclusion.
There's that picture of Knight where he's like, I don't know how we win with the drafts that we do. It's so perfect.
Yeah, I mean, it was super crazy that was like their answer, because normally Silas is picked only as a counter pick to champions that Silas can just mitigate like their ult usage in lane. So you pick it into things like TF because it's like, okay, well, like I'll outscale the TF. Like, yeah, I mean, he'll get lane priority early on because he has better wave clear than I do in the early levels. But like, I'm just going to be able to match all of his roams. Like, TF obviously wants to like Destiny outside of lane and then like ult to the side lanes, and the fact that Silas can match that at all times just kind of like hampers the TF's ability to really play the way the TF wants to. But they just picked fucking TF into Orianna. I mean, Silas into Orianna. Like, why are you playing Silas into fucking Orianna out of all champions? Isn't Orianna the champion that like Silas is dog shit into because the ult is so horrible to use? Yep. Like, Silas ulti, you can only use Orianna ult if you steal it. As Silas, if you ulti yourself. So you have to like be on top of them and then they can just flash out or whatever. It's such a worthless ultimate. So it made no sense. And then from there, the draft just got progressively worse and worse and worse. It's like, oh, they have a bunch of like tanks. GP. And the last pick is like Jarvan. What? Jarvan? Like, Jarvan is like the champion you go to when you have no champions left. Like, you have literally nothing to play and you're forced on Jarvan because you still want to be relevant in the game and you're just hoping you can gank somebody in lane and piss somebody off like by camping them or something like that.
Yeah.
And then it's like conquering Jarvan too with Cinderhulk and Stopwatch. Oh my God, it was so bad to watch. I hated that fucking game 2 draft. Like, they weren't even losing. They didn't even get outplayed. They just lost purely because of draft in the game.
I just love that you guys are like actually personally offended by the draft of game 2. It's beyond just.
It actually blew my mind.
Oh God.
The thing I will say though is it even goes back to a point that Dom made earlier. G2 hopefully not playing like the Dom 1 saw against Dom 1. Mm-hmm. I do love we saw TS like realize halfway through the series, hey guys, let's just play what we were fucking amazing at. Let's first rotate in like this Lee Sin, which is Karsa's best champion by far. Let's put Yu Yanja on Karma, which can at least like nullify waves. You're not going to lose the 2v2. You have like an easy escape, Mantra E. Like, there's so many good things about the strat for top esports. Yeah. I mean, we could ignore the fact that Whippo getting solo kill pretty much ruined the game, but I just love the fact that they went back.
That was a horrible solo kill. That was such a bad solo kill to give up. Like, you saw his face. Like, he's normally like pretty jolly even when he loses. Like, Whippo's like, ooh, like, I died again. Like, ooh, like, I'm gonna fucking shit on him. Like, he's just like this fucking like happy, jolly type of guy. Even after that, he was just like mortified. He's like, oh my God, the game is over. Like, I literally just lost the game by myself dying in lane. So I don't know, man. For me, that was
Jesus. That was something else, dude.
I think,
dude, the thing is, I didn't actually catch how that solo kill transpired because I was watching on the North American stream. So if you watch the LCS stream or like the Riot game stream, they actually just show nothing that happens in the entire game, right? Like, you just get random things. Like, you'll see somebody follow like farming the wolf camp, and it'll be like, oh, I guess like 3 people died topside. Like, I wonder how that fucking happened. Who knows? Like, it's all up in the air at that point. But I watched Doinbee's commentary, and I actually saw how the solo kill happened. That was a disgusting solo kill. Like, he was Half-Life. He QWs on Ornn, and then he just walks up and tries to auto attack 369. 369 just Qs him in the face, ults, auto attack W, just explodes him, like one shots him. Like, it was really sad. It was really fucking
it's
sad.
just sad. I think that one of the funniest things as well, when you were talking about the draft, Jordan, how they kind of went back to the style that they know. One of the funniest things I think it was from the press conference after the series, they were like, "Why? Hey, Carson, why did you pick Lee Sin? Why was that the thing to go to?" And he was like, "I prayed to the god Tian because we have an FPX skin for Lee Sin, and I was hoping that the gods of the LPL would be able to help me in my time of need." It's like that is maybe the worst possible logic to bring to a world championship while you're 0-2 down, but. You know what? It fucking worked. So I can't
The best
really
part
say
is,
much.
again, it's not even a lie. In their mic check as well, he actually does that. He actually says, like,
Yeah.
okay, guys, let's pray to the gods of FPX. And that's when he locks it in. Jesus Christ, I love it.
Hey, it worked.
Carson's such a memer, dude.
I think Jordan hit the nail on the head, though. Like, seeing them actually starting to go, hang on a second. We've got this mid laner who's shitting on Nemesis. Why don't we actually just try and work with that and play through it? And as long as bot lane doesn't int, we'll be fine. And, like, the instant difference that you saw in that series when they actually started to play through Night and using that advantage was just night and day. Like, there was just
Game 5.
Night and day. I see what you did there.
You're
Yeah.
fucking.
Oh, I didn't even realize.
After, aren't you? Just
I
night
would've
and day,
actually
guys.
meant
You cheeky bugger.
Okay, all right. You
What
get
was
free
it?
points for that one.
It was game 5. Karsa level 3 or 4 ganked mid. I think Nemesis even had flash, didn't flash the Q. They guarantee the kill, and then Knight just pretty much took over the game from there.
Yeah, how disgusting is that? You don't flash a max range Lee Sin Q in game 5.
Yeah.
What? Like, bro, I'm 30, I'd flash that shit. Like, you're 21, you're not flashing that? Like, what? Like, you have to flash it. It's a must flash situation. It's not like they paired it with some insanely long CC that there was no counterplay to. Fucking Silas CC is what, 1 second? Like,
Yep.
he engaged early. Like, clearly when Carson went for that, he's like, oh, I'm just going to try to burn this guy's flash. Oh, never mind, he sucks. And then he just, like, gets the free kill. So, I mean, for me, it's really bad.
That right there just epitomizes LPL game to me. Like, where it's like, I'm just going to go for that. Oh, he sucks. Sweet. Oh, yeah, I'll kill him. No worries. That's like LPL in a fucking nutshell.
Yep.
Oh, God.
Yep. I like the pathing though. Like that's interesting pathing to do in game 5. Just trying, because I feel like game 5s snowball super hard compared to other games
Yep.
because of like the tension that is brought into that game. I mean, if you remember like top versus JDG in the final, like that was such a scrappy bloodbathy match because people are just like they understand what's riding on it. So I love the pathing from Carson there to go like a really unexpected Lee Sin path. 3 camps bot side on his blue side. Into just early gank mid, trying to just burn the flash, like go for like the worst player in the game. Obviously, Nemesis was the one that was performing the worst on Fnatic that series, and it seems like they really identified it and attacked it in that game, especially because like if you saw in draft, they banned TF all 4 of the first games, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, TF bans every single time because they just don't want to play against that champion. Final game, they're like, oh, this guy isn't playing that well. Let's give him, like, he's the one that we can like drop the ban on. Drop the ban on TF, give it to him, pressure him early. Like, it seems like they really exploited Nemesis and they targeted him as the weakness of Fnatic in that game 5.
Another kind of interesting thing talking about, like, you know, series and best ofs is I honestly think winning game 4 gives you so much momentum going into game 5.
Mhm.
I've coached in my career. I've been in so many best of 5 situations, and it feels like almost always, if you're the team that wins that game 4, game 5 is just, you know, nailed down. I think, you know, I remember watching Dom back in season 5, that C9 versus sweep, my man.
Holy shit. That was too insane. That was too insane of a series.
Losing the high jungle. Let's go.
Losing the high jungle. Imagine that series. That was like my final series. I go back and watch those games. I'm like, damn, wait, I was 5-0 in the final game and it wasn't even close. Like, imagine if you're playing Rek'Sai, you're 5-0 and the game doesn't even feel close. Like how unwinnable does that series feel at that point? You're like, shit. I mean, I guess I got to go full damage. Like, I'm gonna try to carry this shit. Like
Infinity Edge comes out.
Yeah. No, it wasn't an Infinity Edge. It was a everyone play around Piglet. He's got Vayne into Draven. He'll scale into the late game. Don't worry, guys. It was that type of angle.
All right. Well, while you mentioned AD carries, I do want to put one last question forward on this topic, and then we'll move to the last quarterfinal here. And that's that we saw towards the end of the series, basically, Senna Tom Kench, Senna for Jackie Love is just seemingly the way forward now for top esports. As Jackie Love being heralded as one of, if not the best AD carry in the world, how much of an issue is it?
Reckless, after Reckless.
Yeah, exactly. How much of an issue is it that that's kind of like, that has to be the backup of like, look, we're just not going to play lane at all. Let's just play as safe as fucking possible and pray that we don't in. Like, because that's what that lane screams to me is like,
I think a lot of that
I don't want to
isn't
do
so
anything.
much Jackie Love. I feel like a lot of that is Yanja. Like even when you look at the solo, or well, the dual lane kills that first went across, it was Yanja misplaying on the Leona when the Rakan engage, and it's Jackie Love assuming that he's going to be able to Zenith Blade forward, so Jackie Love arcane shifts forward, but it's actually Leona's messed up the Zenith Blade. She gets knocked up the Rakan, so they don't actually get the fight that they want. So Jackie Love gets caught out and they end up going down. I felt like a lot of that was Yanja, and I feel like a lot of the Sennas, the Ezreals, and all that kind of stuff is just to mitigate, hey, look, we're going to be fine. Yanja, just play it back. We're not going to worry about you. You'll be all good by the end of the day, and we can get out of this lane. But the issue is then you kind of got to disable the arcane shift on Jackie Love, because the amount of times my heart stopped when I saw Jackie Love like arcane shifting into fights where he just like int his face off, or like get out where he has to burn his cleanse and his flash to get a mystic shot on someone. I was like, what the fuck is this guy doing? But yeah, I think a lot of the laning is more Yanja, but I can't really like take away from Jackie Love just deciding every so often, do you know what, I'm gonna int.
Yeah, he inted so hard for no reason. It was so weird to see Jackie Love like randomly shift into every fight. I mean, you look at game 1, right? When he's into Rakan, you see a Rakan, and he just shifts into the Rakan, and instantly you see, like, dude, Hilly is the last person on Earth you want to shift into, because this guy just wants to go anyway. I feel like if you're playing against Hillsong, you're the type of guy that you should just be throwing mystic shots at him, because he's going to flash RW on Rakan, no matter what. Like, this guy is actually a fucking psychopath. So why, playing against this team, does Jackie Love feel like he needs to shift forward? How many times do we see him shift forward, then they like start engaging on him, he flashes back, gets caught by the Rakan either way, dies first in the fight, and then TS is just running from the beginning of the fight? Like, it was so weird to me that Jackie Love was making those types of mistakes in the game.
I actually said this on broadcast. I felt like game 1 is the hardest game to judge, right? Like toward game 2, you can look at draft, you look at Fnatic's prep with ganking bot. Game 1 was like, it was close the whole time. I liked Fnatic's, like the Singe pick was very creative in the way like the team fights played out, but at every impactful moment, like Jackie Love or Yanja just fucked up. Every single time it looked like TS can like kite out the fight or win or look for a front to back. It's like, well, Jackie Love just E forward. Oh, Fnatic get Baron now. And oh, actually they get the Dragon that should have been TS's as well. Well, I don't even get to judge how this game was supposed to go, because it looked like that first game was a bit disrespectful in a way, in my opinion.
But that was with a 4-0 Zoe as well. Like, all you had to do was not do exactly what Jackie Love did and just let Knight win the game. Like, he can just kill anyone, and then you can just have a couple of mystic shots. You go take control of River, you get control of whatever the hell you want, and you're fine. Like, the fact that he had to arcane shift over the wall directly into, I think it was an Ornn at the time or something, that just instantly killed him. I was like, you just let Knight do his thing. Like, that's all you're doing is just poke, let him win the game, and you're fine. And it just annoyed me so much watching him in that first game, where it's like, you had this to just throw away the entire time.
One thing I will say, though, is I disagree that you guys are saying that Jackie Love is not known for arcane shifting in precarious situations. Like, in my mind, for Jackie Love, E on Ezreal is an aggressive ability. That is a damage ability that should be used on cooldown, just like Q. And if it's not on cooldown, you're not getting max value out of your Q, you know? Like that.
I don't know. I feel like he's always been smart.
I've seen him run it down with that ability plenty of times before in the LPL.
I just want to say, I care it was EDG. I remember I was casting with hysterics, and I said, okay, going into this team fight, the only way TS lose is if Jackie Love ease into like a Lee Sin Q and inset combo, and then he did exactly that, and it blew my mind. Like, dude, I love Jackie Love. I hope he never changes.
There was even one, not even that, there was one in lane as well. I can't remember who he's against, but he just like arcane shifts forward and into a Leona, who just goes, cool, slower flare, and just kills them. I was like, he does this all the time, where just every so often he's just like, oh yeah, cool, I'll just get a little bit of poke and I'm dead.
Yeah, it was just weird seeing like how they played in general. I mean, you can blame Jackie Love for the stuff out of lane. In lane, UNG was just dying like so much that it just became
it was like 0-5-0.
Yeah, I mean, when he's playing Tom Kench, he's 0-5-0, and then like the one time they get a kill, he's the one that takes the kill. That's
it was a shutdown as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. Like, reset the money.
Like at that point, you see that fucking water in the middle of the stage. Like you throw him in there and you play with your sub, because that is not some acceptable shit that you can have in a best of 5 if you're top esports and you're trying to win a title.
And even his resets, like his map movements off resets were so bad. Like Hilly completely outdid him on the map in every possible way. He just didn't know where to be. He'd go to lane when like Wave was pushing into the turn and Jackie Love can just catch it no problem on Ezreal. And yeah, it was really disappointing. I've obviously been really down on Yu Yanja all year long, so I'm not really too surprised.
He's definitely bad. Like
he's not good. Which, you know, I do want to preface to where in spring he was the worst support in the league, like by far. Like he was like 20th out of 20. Like he was even worse than some of the sub supports. I do feel like in summer he was like, let's say like 10th out of 17th, which sounds not good, but right, at least it's a jump. He's like learning, improving his rookie year, blah blah blah. But yeah, he's not had a good Worlds performance so far.
Yeah,
it's rough.
It's been real rough, yeah. All right, let's move on to the last quarterfinal because I think we're already heading towards the hour mark. We've been going 50 minutes already. So let's talk G2 versus Gen G, which obviously was today's games. I have to say, like, I'll just open in statement here, and you guys can agree or disagree.
I need to start with this. I'm so
dude, to me, I was just sad that Gen G, in my mind, just did not do anything that looked like they wanted to win the series until the last game. It was like when they were against the ropes, then they started to really scrap. But like game number 1 and game number 2, I just didn't feel like...
Okay, I need to cut you off already.
Go.
Game 1 to me was the free.
So free. It was so free. You just go to Dragon. You literally just go to Dragon and you win the game. You literally do nothing for 2 minutes and you walk to the Dragon as 5. You literally just grab each other's arms, just walk together, just march to the fucking Dragon together.
Wizard of Oz style.
And you auto win. You literally auto win. There's no way the other team can win. It's so crazy.
Getting pressure through top lane, getting vision in top tri-brush. Dragon comes up in 1 minute. 1 minute. If you group comp cannot lose at this point. Even the gold lead, in my opinion, was pretty deceptive from the fact that like they had TF and all this. Like, GG were so far ahead in terms of like how the game should play out, scaling, like how fights should play, all of this stuff. All they had to do is literally nothing for 30 seconds. Group is 5, walk down mid, and they win this game, Munch. And they couldn't even do that. They fucked it up. They went to top river. They went to tri-brush. They cleared vision. And oh, well, guess what? TFT, Pantheon ulti. Your soul laners are on the other side of the map. You just get fucked. This game triggered me so much. And after this game is when I knew Genji had no chance.
Yeah, after this. For me, that was what I talked about earlier in the episode, where if you lose that game, how can you ever fucking win? Like that's the game from DRX that we saw when they're up so much gold and they just opted some ridiculous team fight. And it's like you couldn't have a more obvious win condition, because the way I see series is like as the series goes on, the win conditions that the teams have become a lot closer. And generally speaking, it becomes a lot more narrow for you to be able to like identify, hey, like we need to pull the trigger there. And the teams that are more decisive in those key moments are normally the teams that end up coming out on top. And that's one of the reasons why G2 is so scary in the best of 5, is because they're super decisive. They commit to things later on in series when other teams are afraid to, generally speaking. That's why we saw them beat SKT, for example. And, you know, like the game 5, they're playing like Pyke and MSI, and they end up winning the title. That's what makes G2 such a great team. If you can't win that game 1, where it's literally the most insanely obvious win condition, I mean, and it's also Genji's like bread and butter. If you watch LCK, the way that they play is very bot lane centric. They love Kalista. They play Kalista Set, Kalista Gragas, Kalista Braum, Kalista Leona. They play all the Kalista lanes, and they're used to just stomping bot lane, getting Dragon on cooldown, getting the early soul, and just playing super consistent. That's what Genji is known for. If you're not able to do that in this game versus G2, where it is so fucking insanely obvious to just not get picked, TF, Camille, Nidalee, that is like the Dom1 special. Like, how many times has Genji seen Dom1 do this year? And you can't do this in this game. How the fuck can you win? Like, it's such an easy way to win the game. And if that game gets blown out, you end up losing from that position. What happens when the positions are closer? What happens if you actually have a losing position going into a fight where the enemy team actually has the better soul control team? You're on soul point. The enemy team has a setup. How are you going to make the decisions to win that game if you can't even make the easy call where it's like you literally just wide whippo up to the fucking Dragon and you auto win? Like, it's literally so fucking free.
I do want to say, seeing them in game, think like the answer is taking that exact draft, taking the Dom1 draft from G2, and watching how they execute was pretty funny. Like, My God, dude, Genji had no idea what they were doing with that draft. It was so sad.
Yeah,
it was
pretty sad.
The thing with Genji is like, similarly to some of the other teams we've talked about today, I just wish that they would have just played the Genji style. Like, I wish that they would have just.
That is the Genji style.
I thought the Genji
one.
style was like front to back.
Well, yeah, but exactly. That's a front to back team comp. They just didn't get to it. Like
they just wanted vision and top tri brush 30 seconds, a minute before dragon spawn because you
got to be careful of that Nidalee Jin TF Camille Baron. That's a fast one.
Yeah, yes it is.
That's a sneaky one, man. They might rush it on you. So.
All right. Well, let's flip. Unless you have something to add to that one, Dagda.
No, I'm all good. I mean, the lads hit on the nail on the head. I think they're a lot more tilted than
Dude,
I was.
I was ready for this. After game one, that was one thing I was like, I need to fucking go off on this.
This is like cathartic. I feel like I'm a therapist at this point.
Oh, did you?
Oh, 100%, bro. Like, so I went off on stream, and then I went off on face check, and then I came on this 3 times later, and I'm still fucking angry. So this is like when I released most of the anger. Like, maybe tomorrow we can have a rational discussion about this. Now I need to vent. I need to get drunk and fucking vent. That's it.
All right. Well, let's flip the script then and talk about G2 because obviously G2 coming out 3-0 against a Korean team again. I want to ask you guys, how superstitious are you then? How much of this is superstition that G2 are the Korean killers? How much of it is a stylistic thing? How much of it was just Genji not being good enough? Like, where do you guys stand on this weird scale of halfway between analysis and superstition here?
I don't care about it personally.
I don't believe it. I think Damwon is going to give them a run for the money. Maybe G2 can do it, but definitely I think Damwon playing their style is going to just pick apart G2.
One thing I like about G2 is we didn't necessarily see it in this series, but to me, there's only 2 teams in this tournament that have this kind of factor is when you have such experienced players at a high level, they can just make such creative plays in like mid and late game. I think IG is another team we've seen this. And I always relate it back to season 4 Worlds when we saw like C9 and like they did that high play, if you remember, like where ninja between the lanes.
The Z play,
like G2 TS, they're the types of teams that have like the experience, the creativity, and the balls to go for creative plays when they're behind. We saw that against Suning in their tiebreaker game where they would attack very interesting angles of the map to, stay in the game. And that's something going forward that I don't expect, G2 to beat Damwon, but it's something that like, I won't be surprised if G2 does beat Damwon, because G2 does have that weird intangible like magic of holy shit. They know when to sacrifice to the side of the map and make this pick when it happens. Yeah. Let's go with pizzazz. That's a nice word.
Yeah, sure. I mean, they're one of those teams that, like, in season 9, for example, whenever they got into games, they were the most willing to sack random dragons and, like, overload the top side of the map. It wasn't like they would just, like, sack a dragon and be like, oh, let's send our Nidalee top. They're like, send 5 motherfuckers to gank this one person and take 2 turrets. And then you saw the result. It was like, oh, shit, that's pretty good. Like, you get, like, 2 turrets, you get fucking vision control. That's worth sacking the dragon. They're so willing to, like, make the decision in advance and commit. That's classic G2. And one thing that I think that G2 can do to win the series versus Damwon is just like throw them off guard. Like Damwon is the type of team where in this tournament they have not been tested so far, pretty much at all, right? Like they lost 1 game to JDG. That wasn't even relevant in group stage because they had already solidified first seed. They get the most easy quarterfinal matchup for them. They don't have to do like any real prep. Like how easy is it to play the team that you just 3-0'd in finals in quarterfinals? Like you feel like you have such a massive advantage. So what happens if G2 actually starts playing a different style that they're not accustomed to? Like, can they adapt if they go down a game? What happens if they go down 2 games? Can they bring it back like Top did? Who knows?
And I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Dom, with like how they do it. Because like when I look at G2, it's really interesting the way they like, as you said, like they do now is like sack dragon still, and they'll go for these plays on the opposite side of the map and work off the tempo you've given them by committing to this dragon. And I think if you're looking at like at least the way Gen G were playing, I think the way we'll see Damwon play as well, they're not going to expect to just see like 3-4 members show up on top side while they're doing dragon, and then they start to get plates off of that. They'll turn that into gold advantages, and then they just whack you with their wallet later on. So honestly, I think that's the way that G2 could potentially beat Damwon if we're going to go forward into this.
I do want to say like that was even for Fnatic against TS, right? Like it seems like the Asian teams just don't expect like, wait, what? they don't have to come fight Dragon. What is this? Like I thought Dragon was the fucking end all be all, the god of the fucking Summoner's Rift. You see Fnatic against TS, they're just like, oh, well, first few Dragons, whatever. I'm gonna go get plates. I'm gonna go gank, get turrets, all this stuff. We saw the same thing in this series, and G2 have done it all year. So, yeah, I'm kind of expecting to see Gen G, Damwon get tested, but man, I don't know. Damwon are robots. Damwon are too good.
Okay, go ahead, Tom.
No, you can go for it.
Oh, I was just gonna say it was a funny thing. I when they first announced, like way back when this Dragon change got announced, like the first thing Yanko said was, "Oh, so I don't have to give a shit until third Dragon." And it's so interesting to see that everyone else started to play this. Oh, we gotta fight the dragons. We gotta do this thing, and it's the exact same style that G2 have pulled from what Yankos' original theory was. That has now gotten them into the semi-final. I think it's just really interesting to see how that is kept so constant throughout their play.
Yeah, I think the one thing that's scary for me though about like that situation specifically is like I would love to see if G2 can like do the opposite of those types of plays. If they're going to be the team that's going to be going for a dragon, etc. Because if you look at Dom1 specifically, they're the type of team that loves sacking first to dragon, and then they'll just take Rift Herald for the first dragon, dive your top laner with Naguri and Canyon, and just place the Herald, take the full turn, and just play with the gold lead. Like they're so willing to do the opposite side. So I want to see if G2 is willing to like actually like acclimate to that and be willing to take the dragon side of things where you're now setting a vision for third dragon and you're trying to play around your Dragon Soul win condition that's coming up later on in the game. That's like the adaptation I want to see out of G2.
I wouldn't be fully convinced by them because at least when I saw the game today, the third dragon I think was in game 1. I want to say where PG. Yeah, they just really did like they obviously wanted to fight for it. They're all starting to group, but they just didn't recall early enough. They didn't get the resets on time, weren't at the dragon, they were all separated, and it just meant they got forced and bullied out. So I don't know, I'm not convinced by their objective setups. I haven't been for a while, so I don't know if you're just going to turn that around between this week and next week.
I mean, I'm just going to throw out Damwon 3-0.
I'm going to go 3-1 Damwon. I'll go 3-1.
I hate doing 3-1 predictions. They feel like such like a cop out of a real prediction.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like
not to call you out or anything.
Like, how often do you see G2 get 3-0'd besides for like finals, right? Like, whereas
that's
like
true.
Like they don't get 3-0'd by Korean teams because, I mean, it just seems like they're able to figure out a way to like at least come into like a game 2 or whatever. Like they're good at adapting throughout a series. So it's not like versus G2 because so for example, one thing before I let you do your point, one thing that I see about G2 is they make you win 3 different games against them. Like when you watch the FPX series, right? Like they do Pike 1, they do Pike the first draft, then they do a Tristana draft second where they're playing like super heavy for lane prio. Third draft they're playing like Vygar. Like you have to play 3 different strategies to beat G2. Where I feel like other teams, like for example Gen G, you beat them once, you beat them 3 times, Yeah. Like the same way versus top versus Fnatic, right? Like they win as soon as they figured out how to win. They're like, oh, so we just ban Lucian, Orianna, or we like take away one of them, and then your your mid laner is just fucking useless. Like I feel like that most teams are more like able to just identify a weakness and just keep on that strategy, whereas G2 is better at adapting throughout a series.
And I was actually going to kind of agree. Even beyond adapting, I feel like even G2's prep coming into the series is usually really good, right? We saw that in spring in their final where they kept bringing out the Kog'Maw Lulu. It was just like so insane at the time. They completely stomped that final, and I feel like that's one point where G2 is. They actually might even be the best team in semis, like in terms of prep, right? Like we saw with TS, like their read of Fnatic was way off. It doesn't look like they even knew what Fnatic wanted to do before the series happened. Dom1.
Disrespectful prep, dude. Honestly, it was just disrespectful prep. Like when you look at TS versus Fnatic, how are you not banning out Lucian Orianna, or at least like putting the little like situation together? Because they got blue side first 2 games, I'm pretty sure, right?
It's disrespectful of their opponents. I've never heard that before. That's such a crazy concept.
True. Never mind. They wouldn't do that. That'd be fucked up.
I'm just kidding. But... Dagda,
I agree.
What were you gonna say, Dagda?
I'm kind of on the fence. I think it is going to go to 5 games. I think this is going to be a lot closer, and I think a lot of that is kind of
Oh
touching
shit!
on what Dom said. Is kind of you've got to beat G2 at multiple different styles, and from what I've seen, Damwon only kind of have one style. Now they do it very, very fucking well, but I still think it's going to be a case of G2 coming in with some really good prep. They'll have some weird thing that they're willing to come in with, and you've got to try and as Damwon adapt to that on the fly. And I think stylistically, because G2 can be full of surprises, I think it will force it to 5 games. I still think potentially Damwon take it, but I think this is going to be a lot closer than people are expecting.
I actually think the opposite. I think if it goes the distance, I expect G2 to win. I don't know if like last year, right? If can Damwon handle the pressure of actually like having to like scrap in a series? I think if G2's one game, G2 potentially can take the whole series.
I have G2 in my pick'ems, so I'm just hoping that I'm wrong. Right?
I heard you can change your pick'ems. I don't know if that's true, but I heard you can change them going into semis now.
Dude,
I forgot to do my pick'em. I did my group stage, and then I've never done pick'ems before. I just do my predictions on stream, and I just forgot to do like the bracket stage, the pick'ems. I just never got them in, but I got all the.
Mate, you're not gonna get the Poro icon.
Oh, the Poro icon! My God, holy shit!
Devastation. I know.
Can I get my co-stream back if I have a Poro icon, or how does it work?
I think it's like you get certain co-streams depending on your level of Poro or something like that. Yeah. So I want to bring up another
co-stream for sure.
maybe pick'ems and predictions are not necessarily the same. Anyway, I want to bring up a topic though that was brought up on a previous episode of Bevvies the Boys. I don't actually remember who brought it up because I've been drinking the whole time that we've been doing this show. But I want to say it was either Veteran or Kelsey brought up the concept of Korean teams being exceptional at adapting across the course of a best of 5, being able to evolve across the course of a series. How much do you guys see Damwon fitting into that category of Korean teams in the same way versus Damwon? Because I don't really see Damwon in the same category that I usually see like Korean powerhouse teams, in that Damwon don't feel like they win quite in the same way that the old school idea of Korean teams do. You know, it feels much more of an aggressive style than what you'd expect from a classical Korean team. So how much do you guys think they are like?
It's like the same style, you know, like even if they play like Orn Graves or if they play Renekton in Italy, like it's the same like playing through topside, like so it's really, to me, if that like pattern can get thrown off, like what happens if they play through topside and actually their bot lane just gets blown out for once? Like they try picking their fucking Senna Pantheon, Senna Braum, whatever the fuck they play, they want to play bot. And what happens if G2 just brings 4 motherfuckers bot side and just dives them on cooldown, and Ghost is actually just down so far that like he can't actually like recover, or Caps gets super far ahead, picks up the Soul Stealer and just starts like really like, you know, like if a team takes the opposite route and actually does it to perfection. I want to see how Damwon respond, and if like Cadian and Nuggery can actually carry more than somebody like, you know, Caps and Perks, for example, if they get really far ahead.
I want to see. So this series will be interesting, right? Because I think a lot of people at G2 are kind of similar to TS in the sense, like Dom said earlier in the game, that they don't play through jungle, they play through lanes. I really want to see how Damwon plays through that style, because DRX play through jungle in a sense. Like they did try to get resources onto Pioshik. Pioshik was just very like coin flipping up and down. Genji obviously doesn't play through Clid. They tried to in this turn. It didn't look very good. So I don't think Damwon have played a team like G2 or like Top Esports where they're just kind of like, well, fuck the meta. You know, we know what we're good at. We have Caps in the mid lane. We have Knight in the mid lane. Let's just all in on these pieces, because I don't know how Damwon will react. I actually think Damwon is like, sure, they're different from past LCK teams in the term that they are more scrappy. I still think it's been a bit overblown with LCK, that like people have made it sound like they're LPL, and guys, I cast LPL. LCK might be more aggressive.
Actually.
They're not.
Me too.
They're not fucking LPL. Like, dude, we fight over nothing. We fight over everything and nothing at the same time. It's fucking.
We saw LCK do that. We saw Genji just fighting over nothing topside.
Yes.
That's true. That's true. Hey, that Tribrush vision was important. Okay.
You said it, Tom. They could do Baron, like Jin Italy, but
yeah, Jin Italy. Oh, you're forgetting for the TF, man. Blue card. Shred that
Camille's in
shit.
there.
Dude, he might have rapid fire cannon by then. Like he's gonna auto
true.
attack faster. But
Yep.
I don't have faith in Damwon necessarily adapting. I am scared of Damwon as someone who's obviously biased towards the LPL, wants LPL to win. Hopefully gives us more budget. But Damwon is a scary machine.
That's not happening.
I do hope G2 pushes them to the limit though. But
I mean,
in
that's not
adapting,
happening. Maybe an A could get some more budget. Like maybe we could get some budgets into it.
maybe has to get up to like
That's
$10
a
million
budget issue
salaries.
that A has.
True.
I think as well, the biggest thing for me is like, how do Damwon play against someone who's not playing like proper? Because Caps has no problem like just dipping from his lane and going, cool, I'm going to sack this wave, I'm going to go bot side and we're going to make the play. I feel like Damwon and a lot of the LCK teams play this like, oh, I have to catch this wave because this is the proper way to play the game and this is where I don't lose any resources, and we're not like making the 70-30 or 60-40 play. Whereas G2 were very happy to just go and go, fuck this, we're going to go make our play that we want to make. So I think that's where I'm like, okay, maybe G2 can catch them out. But then it does come down to, do they start to get used to this over the course of the game, or are they just so blown away that Caps has just left 8 minions in mid and now he's killing my 2v2 bot? I'm like, maybe G2 can catch them out that way.
You know, the funny thing is in that series also showed patience because I think it was game 2, right? We saw BDD TP topside and he's, Caps is playing South against TF. It's like, oh, cool. I just get like 2 free waves for nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And then we see him steal TF ult and go bot. Caps once again is like, okay, cool. I get like 2 free waves for nothing. Like Caps, despite the fact that everyone says, right, he's a great roaming mid laner. He'll roam constantly. He does know when it's not the right time to show the patience, to collect the waves in mid, get like bigger in terms of items.
That wasn't a diss at Caps. I think Caps is phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
It was more just those saying like he understands enough where he can go, hey, I'm going to sack these minions because I'm going to get more of an advantage elsewhere. That's what I mean, is that like, whereas when I look at Korean mid laners, they're less likely to make that play.
I do think that it's an incredibly good point.
Showmaker, my dude.
I'm excited to see Caps as a showmaker, but I do just want to like hit a little further on that point you bring up, Jordan, in that I feel like there's a perception of Caps that he is this roaming mid laner, but to be a successful mid laner at the level of success that Caps has had for the amount of time that Caps has been successful for now, you cannot be a one-style mid laner. Like, the guy has shown that he is an intelligent player that understands the game and can play pretty much whatever style is required of him and pretty much whatever, he can be the roamer, he can be the assassin, he can be the control mage, he can do whatever the fuck his team needs him to do to carry. But I want to kind of approach a topic, actually. It's a little bit of a tangent here, if you'll bear with me. But Azael tweeted this earlier today that he was saying, like, look, we need to stop thinking about Caps just in terms of best European mid laner, even outside of best Western mid laner. Let's start putting him on the world scale. Like, where do you guys put a player like Caps, and how much do you factor in LEC domestic success in the grand scheme of how successful a player is in the grand scheme of the world? Because I feel like obviously Caps' story kind of tells itself when it comes to his success individually, but how much do you put all of that? Like, how much is an LEC title worth versus an LCK title or an LPL title, for example?
I don't care about the titles. I just care about like just individually evaluating the player and like how I believe that they're playing at all points. And for me, like, there's no question he's not, like, he has to be top 5. If you don't put him top 5 in the world, you're fucking delusional. Like, that's just number one. I always have him so I normally have him around 3 or 4 in the entire world. But like at this tournament, a lot of the people that I have above him. So going into this tournament, I had Knight number 1, right? I don't think Knights have had that good of a tournament. Like, I don't know. Personally speaking, I haven't seen the same things that I saw domestically in this tournament in Worlds. And a lot of it comes down to like the champion picks and things like that.
Yeah.
Like, when you look at how Knight was in LPL, right? It was like, oh, well, you can't give him Syndra, right? Like, obviously, if you give him Syndra, you're just going to lose. Oh, but you also can't give him Zoe. If you give him Zoe, he's just going to win the game alone. And then, like, after that is when you'd start talking about his fucking Silas and things like that, where he would still take over games. It doesn't even feel like he's that same level of player. I feel like Knight has had a pretty underwhelming tournament so far. And like the thing for me is I don't want to super overrate Caps because up until this series, he hadn't been playing the way that he was playing in LEC. LEC, he was all about, playing control mages. He's playing, even if he wasn't playing controller mages, he'd be playing things like Zoe. So he'd be playing Orianna, Syndra, Zoe, things like that. And it was all about him like dominating his lane, getting a random solo kill here or there, being able to extend the advantage, picking up a soul stealer, and just taking over the whole game. Like he would just get to that next level of strength as an individual player in the game. I haven't seen that so far. Like it seemed like G2 coming into Worlds had a completely different interpretation of how the meta was supposed to be played. He was playing a bunch of TF, he was playing a bunch of Galio, he played the random Jace game mid. So it was a completely different style than what you'd expect with Caps coming into Worlds. So just because he went back to this series, I mean, he still played game 1 TF. And by the way, like the main reason why I've been like kind of lower on Caps this tournament is because G2 just looks a lot worse when they're playing that TF, Galio, whatever style around Jankos playing the carry junglers. Like that just doesn't seem natural to them, right? Like even if they pull it off, even if they win that game 1 versus Gen G, I'm not like, oh shit, that's G2. When they're playing like game 2, game 3, and they're playing the Silas and he's got the Soul Stealer, he's popping off. That's the game where I'm like, all right, that's Caps, Like Jankos is early ganking all over the place. He picks up the Dead Man's Plate second on Lilia instead of Liliandry's. Like it's obvious that his role within the team comp is being more of like the person that's setting up the plays for Caps to just like take over later on. That's the game where I'm like, oh, that's natural G2. That's like when they look like they could, be one of the best teams in the world. So for me, it's hard to judge Caps because it doesn't seem like he's been playing like Caps the entire tournament. It's just been this group stage.
I want to ask Munch, are we talking about like Caps in terms of like where we rate him this year, or you mean like of all time?
I mean, I don't want to like put you on the spot necessarily too much. Like, take it where you want to take it. But I'm just more asking, like, how much does recent results matter? How much does his whole career matter in terms of how you would rank something?
Let's do all time. Let's do all time because
I'm down to do all time,
dude.
All time's hard though.
Also, the thing is, there's only 2 players off the top of my head I could say. Right, obviously.
Yeah, I know what you were saying. Faker and Rookie, right?
Exactly. Yeah, Faker and Rookie are for sure like better than Caps.
Yeah, I think that's actually all time. I think that is all time where you put Caps. You put number 1 of all time is Faker. If anyone says
it's unarguable
of all time, literally it's just like it's a fucking war crime. Like you deserve to be imprisoned for that opinion. Number 2 has to be Rookie. Number 3, I think it's Caps.
I agree. That's actually what I was gonna say. I think all-time Caps is for me. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head. Like, right, maybe in 1 or 2 years we come back and we're like, oh, maybe it was Chovy, maybe it was Showmaker. But as of right now, it has to be Faker, Rookie, Caps. Maybe someone can try and argue Perks, I guess, if they really wanted to. But
people try to throw in there.
Yeah. But I think Caps is a pretty good third option of all time, dude. Like, and an interesting thing about Rookie is even when Faker was in his prime, when I was coaching in LMS, I had people that would they would scrim against Rookie the 2 minutes Faker that came from LPL, and they're like, dude, Rookie's laning compared to Faker is fucking insane. Even back in season 5 when Faker was like, on top of his game. So that's really interesting to me that Rookie has been so good for so long without having won the championship until, season 8. So I don't know, man. I love Rookie.
This top 5.
Oh, jeez.
Where does Apto fit in this list? That's my question. Okay. I want to see Apto versus Rookie in lane. Because Apto was always meant to be better at laning than Faker, right?
Have any of you actually seen that game, the Team Dark game that he got banned from? Because that was a pretty banger game.
No, I never saw the game he got banned from.
Dude, they actually went in the enemy base, dropped, because it was back in like season 3 when you could ward unlimitedly. They dropped like 100 wards in the enemy base. And
I think I've seen a screenshot of that. Yeah.
It was amazing. So Apto, you have my respect. You have Dom's respect because he's super toxic, obviously. Right, I won't let him co-stream, but
true.
Respect Apto.
All right, so now that I'm trying to get my co-stream back, where does Bjergsen go in the top 5?
Well, it's right underneath Double Lift, I think. I think Double Lift.
I want to see Tanner time in this list.
I'm kind of tilted.
It's about time.
I actually saw people seriously saying he's the best like Western mid laner. I think I saw Dom tweet this out.
Yeah, I saw the golden blue thing. Like I went in so hard in that thread. I was like, motherfucker, like if anyone has this opinion, I'm arguing against you. I don't care if you have one follower. Like I need people to know that you cannot put Bjergsen as the number one Western mid laner of all time or Western player of all time. Like you have to put Perks number one, or like if you want to say Caps number one now, that's fine, right? But like Perks has been a fucking goat for a while. Perks, Caps, and then you probably have to put Reckless third, and then you probably have to put Yankos.
Yeah, Reckless Yankos. Yep, I agree.
Are we talking all time? Because if we're talking all time, where does Soaz fit on this list? Because Soaz was the fucking goat way back then.
But that's the thing. I think
like competing with Bjergsen.
Like 7, 8, right? Like I agree. I think
I'd have
Caps,
one pretty up
Perks,
there as well.
Yankos, like Reckless. These players are fucking inarguable. Like these guys are top 4 for sure. But I think after that, Soaz, Bjergsen, a lot of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
For sure.
So I'm gonna, unless anyone has any final notes on that, I'm gonna round that conversation out.
I'm gonna run bathroom as you go to the next.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll have a 2-minute bio break.
You know the sad thing? I really wanted to go to the bathroom too, but now
oh no, you can't do that to me, man. You break my heart.
I gotta help you carry the show.
So Lyric,
you know, I wore my V5 jersey today.
I actually noticed that during the last conversation. I hadn't seen the whole like first hour, and then I realized. Do you want to? Because I feel like there'll be some people in the chat right now that have come as like LCS viewers, for example, that are fans of Dom that have come to visit the show because Dom's here. Do you want to just like maybe make a bit of a sales pitch on why you're wearing a V5 jersey as of right now, and who the fuck V5 are for anyone that doesn't know the LPL?
You saw LGD at Worlds. LGD was not the 4th team from LPL. There was this team. They were called Victory 5. They have Moser mid laner. He got as their support. You all know his team. They were a team that was amazing playing through bot priority and then funneling gold and resources onto their jungler way. They would shit on teams in skirmishes. Their mid laner Mole could play absolutely everything. Victory 5 was probably the best team to ever come out from LPL. If you're a viewer here who comes from like Dom stream, you don't know LPL, just know this team, Victory 5, the best team to ever exist from LPL.
I just want to quickly I just want to quickly add to that as well. That Victory 5 was the team that kind of exposed you Yanja in the first place.
Dude,
and
they
let everyone know that
100%.
you can beat top esports just by crushing bot lane.
What if LGD 100%? They were the true LPL 4th seed. Breaks my heart.
Yeah, brackets.
You're a PB God fanboy.
They had to go against Suning, the best team in the world.
Don't you love
Mole,
PP
dude.
God.
Mole's the best. No, I love Mole.
I got to interview PP God.
My thing.
I got to interview PP God. That was fucking nuts.
Is that your like life highlight so far?
I mean, it's up there. It's up there. It was fucking cool. It took me 3 fucking attempts.
Okay, you guys can carry the show now.
Yeah, I'm also gonna run to the bathroom as well because I've not been either.
Okay, nice. I'm used to hosting, so I'll just.
Okay, Dom, take it away, my friend.
All right.
Welcome to Crackdown.
Yeah, welcome to the Crackdown. Welcome to Face Check. I'm not sure which one it is. Well, actually, it would be the Crackdown because Face Check I don't really host. It's normally Dgon hosting that one. But yeah, I mean, I guess one thing that I would talk to you about would be just LPL in general. Like, so for me, it's the most fun region to watch, right? Like, I've been watching a ton of LPL, and like, there's so much fighting. What do you think LPL needs to actually become like really relevant in terms of Western viewership? Because it feels like no one really cares that much about LPL, and that's why up until Worlds, you don't see like people hyping Suning. You don't see people hyping V5 and all these people. Like, you see some hype for PB God, but it's mainly just because his name is PB God, right? It's not because people actually like know what his fucking play is like. So what does LPL need in order to really like get to the next level? Do I just need to live view every fucking game of LPL next split or what?
Pretty much, yeah. I think the biggest issue is like we compete with LCK, right? And LCK has got its cult following. So until we get a cult following like that, it's not really gonna happen. And the biggest issue that we have is that I'm new. I'm only coming in this year. So's Jordan. So's Munch. Like, the casters are constantly being set and re-put in again. So I think the biggest issue is just having consistency there. Like, you can't really latch onto a name with LPL because everyone just fucks off like 2 years later.
It was Raz, right? Like, it was Raz with Fruskarin. And
there's Frosk. There was Spawn. There was Pastry Time, I think, was there for a little while. Papa Smithy was there. Atlas was there. Like, everyone just moves on to greener pastures. So I think the biggest issue is just actually holding down people that can stay there, building up
Look.
the name of it through
Look.
winning world championships and stuff. And now Jordan's going to give me his drunken take. But basically, that's mine.
I
Just
was going to say, I have some
Go
alcohol
for
in me, but I've said this. I said this in the LPL Discord. I will not cast a region that is not LPL because honestly, I never planned on being a caster. I only casted because LPL is fucking awesome. So hey, LPL fans, you can count on me. These guys, these European lads, I don't know. For me, you can count on me.
Look at that
Yep.
jersey. He's in it for the long
Look,
run.
I even committed to my viewers that next year I'm going to make more of an effort to just live view or even just VOD review a bunch of LPL games during the split because I personally fucking love LPL. And like, this just came from my natural progression of just, getting back into Pro League. Obviously, I played as a player for a while and I watched all the big matches. In 2019, I live viewed all of Worlds, but I wasn't somebody who was super connected to the pro scene until this year. And I kind of just gradually went into it, like I was co-streaming at first and then that started getting like more and more views. And I was like, oh shit, I guess this is like my niche. I guess this is what like people want to see me do. So next year, I'm just going to try to fucking draw more hype to LPL because I feel like these players are fucking exciting. Like if you watch Bin play during the regular season, why would you not be hyped for him at
They
Worlds?
are. But the thing is, it's like, what day do you get? Do you get like Sunin Top Esports V5 JDG, or do you get like BLG and OMG? Because like they're not quite on the same.
Yeah,
level
no.
as each other.
I remember. I did a sec. So I don't even like cover LPL on FaceCheck, right? It's an NA mainly only show. We did a whole segment on FaceCheck, and I know you guys remember the fucking game between DMO and FPX Game 2. You guys remember that fucking that play? Oh my god, that Caitlyn play on the Nexus.
Jubin.
Yeah.
Jubin literally deserves punishment of some sort. Like that's like fucked up. Like that is fucked up what he did.
Yeah,
I do want to say, right? There's 17 teams in LPL right now. I feel like every team has at least some good player that you can latch onto and be like,
except for
Xiaopeng's okay. Their jungler, he's a Rek'Sai one trick, but he's
can
all
look
right.
okay on Camille,
Yeah. Oh my god, there's Aatrox. But yeah,
hey, Mark was on DMO. He made it to Worlds.
True. There we go. Hey, Shie was on DMO. He made it to Worlds. Yeah. So there we go.
Hashtag fires Jubin. That's my cult following.
Like the guy's named himself after a bin of shoes. Like I don't know what you expect.
Yeah, exactly, dude. What type of name is that?
He can join Mitsuki, who became a model after he left DMO.
Yeah, what the
fuck? Most support she retired and became a model right
He's
away.
Like not even a famous player. He's just like, hey, I've got a small amount of fame and I'm handsome as fuck. I'm gonna go be a model now. See ya.
Yeah, and Jubin is neither handsome nor good, so please get him off the roster. That's all I'm saying.
All right, I gotta move this away from the Flame Shubin stream now. So
okay,
I want to return to Worlds here.
Worlds? What?
I know. It's not that exciting, guys. But let's talk about
kind of cringe Munchables, but okay.
Look, I'm a kind of cringe guy. Okay, I'm from the UK. We revel in that. I don't know if you've seen the UK office. It's very much evidence of that fact. Let's talk Damwon versus G2. We talked about it pretty extensively earlier, so we'll just quickly touch on this topic. I just want to get hard predictions now. After we've already, and I'll link a timestamp in the YouTube VOD of like when we actually talk about this and that. But let's put some predictions on the line here, boys, of Damwon versus G2 and how we expect.
Man, you just hype on predictions because you're like winning predictions in the Riot broadcast.
I'm not gonna say anything crazy or anything like that. All I'm saying is I am literally the god of predictions. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Nothing.
Anyone
nothing
that's beneath you in predictions just probably doesn't deserve to live. I agree. No, it makes sense.
I didn't say that. You said that.
Yeah, sure. I'm already banned from co-streaming, so who the fuck cares? I can say whatever the fuck I want.
Okay, I'll throw out mine. I already said it. I feel like Dom kind of convinced me on the 3-1, but I feel like I got to stick to my guns. Dom won 3-0. I love G2. I really would love to see G2 win. I feel like their preparation is great. Their adaptation is great. I feel like they can stun Damwon with the style that they play. But again, I feel like Damwon have just looked like machines. It looked like robots with how they play the game. It's absolutely perfect. They have no weakness in any lane. When you think about G2, right, their weakest lane is bot, even though Mickey has had an insane tournament. I feel like Ghost and Beryl have been playing quite well. I don't think they'll be able to punish their bot lane. I feel like their top side should be better. So I'm going to give it 3-0 to Dawn. But Carlos, please prove me wrong because you're the most baller owner in esports.
Man, what is wrong with
That
you?
was the sellout last sentence of it.
You're literally trying to win over Western fans, and then you go 3-0 Dom 1. Like, just
You're like, G2, I love you, but
No,
Damon's gonna fuck.
wait. Do you remember on the crackdown when I tried to win the TSM fans?
Yeah,
Dude,
no.
I'm going all in.
Yeah, no, I tried to win the TSM fans too. I think they've all just boycotted me, and now I get like 40% upvoted on Reddit, no matter what type of content I do.
We said fourth in the group, man. What can we?
Yeah, no, I love how that's the actual decision you have to make as an analyst. It's like, do I try to like please the NA fans, or do I just say like what's actually going to happen?
Yeah.
Do I care about being correct, or do I care about some like random internet points on Reddit? And to this point, like, you know, maybe next year, like I just started co-streaming this year, right? So like now I'm like starting to like realize the pop. Maybe I'll just sell out super hard and I'll just hype NA really, really well at the next tournament that NA goes to, which will probably be MSI unless we get our fucking seed docked for like a Taiwanese team or something. Who knows?
Oh,
But,
Jesus.
you know, maybe next year I'll just full sell. Like, you'll know coming into Worlds if I'm just like, yeah, I think NA is gonna fucking win this shit. Like, then you'll know it's like, okay, Dom doesn't care anymore. He's just all.
You're just there like, I'm a sham, but I'm a rich as fuck sham, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Falling out. That's a shame.
All right, Dagda, what's your prediction, mate?
I'm gonna go with what my pick'ems were. I'm gonna go 3-2 G2.
3-2 G2.
Yeah.
Where are you at, Dom?
All right.
Rhymes as well. It's
I'm up 3-1 on Damwon in this series. I hope G2 wins though.
Yeah.
I want to get the fucking predictions for the top side of the bracket. I mean, we got 3 LPL casters here, right? Like we got to talk about TES for sitting. All right, I'm gonna put it on the line. 3-0 TES, which is probably a crazy prediction of most people considering how this tournament is shaped up.
I'm in the second 3 yes.
Yeah, echo.
Finals vividly through. I casted that semifinal actually, so it's fucking there. I feel like TS will crush Suning. I love you, Suning, but
I
don't love you as much as 369.
I'm loving this because do you know what? Suning have been underestimated at every single fucking step of the way. Even in the regular season, they were underestimated. Nobody was predicting them, even when they were crushing every other team.
Can I interject real quick? Did you know they actually 10 out of 11 last series, and their only loss was to guess who? Top Esports.
Yeah, but obviously, Top Esports have had a pretty good track record against Suning. I'm not going to deny that. But like when we look at what the expectation of Suning has been, basically for the last 6 months, versus what has actually happened, Suning have outdone expectations every single fucking time. And like, even if Suning doesn't win the series overall, like I do not believe that Suning doesn't get a single game. First off, like even outside of Suning, I don't believe Top Esports is capable of winning a 3-0 series. Like I don't believe this team is capable of winning 3 games in a row without fucking trolling something. Like it's just not possible.
Just go draft like fucking animals for once.
No, but they will. No, but they will.
But they didn't before, right? Like before you watch like drafts and like finals, it was like some pretty serious shit. It's like, okay, Renekton in Italy, okay, Zoe on 3. You know, Jin or Ashe bot lane with the support, with whatever support you fucking want that complements the team comp. Like, it looked pretty fucking good when they played against JDG. So at what point do they just like decide on like, no.
Game 2.
Fucking Jarvan.
Game 2.
Like, Jarvan, it's like, what?
They're gonna come in and just like you guys, they're gonna be like, this is 3-0. No worries, guys. And they're gonna disrespect like crazy. They're gonna get absolutely railed in game number 1 at very least. And then later in the series, they'll go, wait, hang on, guys. We might actually have to try here, which has been literally Top Esports in a nutshell the entire year, pretty much.
I expect you have like a logic, you know, your reasoning seems plausible to me. I mean, I don't think DS cannot track monkeys for at least one game. I do think that's plausible, but I still think even if they draft like monkeys, they will beat Suning. I feel like regional matchups are always more
predictable.
I don't want to say one-sided, but you know, one-sided, right? Like these teams know how each other played. We saw today all the tweets going out. Carson actually went out to dinner with Sword today.
Yeah.
They're going to play each other in like 3 days. So I feel like these players know each other way too well.
I think it's going to be 3-2 Suning in the end. I think that Top Esports are going to underestimate them. And I think that Suning is going to get a win, maybe 2 free wins. And then Top Esports is going to try and fuck around, and they're going to realize that they can't do that against a team like Suning.
I didn't realize you wanted to stay as a play-by-play caster so bad. Like, all right, good to know. Good to know.
Look, it's been working out for me so far. Okay, man.
Your predictions were doing so well. Like you could have literally just snowballed it and just, taking Larry's job. But I guess you just stuck to the play-by-play.
Like, I'm just gonna come back to this conversation in like a week's time, dude. Just you wait.
Maybe,
I just want to say, I told you like 2 months ago, you would be a better color caster than me. You were proving it until this prediction, my dude. You were proving it until this prediction.
Listen, right? How could you possibly know that I was proving it until this prediction? When if I'm a better color caster than you, maybe I've got the right prediction, mate. Maybe this prediction is what proves it for all time, and I take your job.
Did you watch semifinals? Oh wait, you casted it with me, motherfucker. Oh, wait. Actually, I don't think you did. I'm wrong.
I honestly don't even remember at this point. It feels like a long time ago. Well, that's semifinals predictions done and dusted. We're about an hour and a half into the show. If you guys are up for it, I was going to suggest, for the first time ever on Bevvies with the Boys, if you guys are down, I was going to throw it to chat to ask a couple of questions and get some opinions.
Look, it is 4:30 a.m. I'm a little bit buzzed. I'm up to keep going. Do whatever you need to do, my man.
Yeah, no, I'm down too. Hold on, let me check my door. I think I ordered food, so I want to see if it's just like sitting out there. 1 second.
Oh, good, man. All right, so Dom's gonna grab some food. I'm gonna go grab another beer. Chat, let us know what questions you've got, and we'll keep this conversation rolling a little bit. And I give us some spicy questions as well, because I want to know. I want to know what's going through your minds right now.
I'm already in.
I want to come back to something you said though.
What?
I 100% believe that if V5 had gone to Worlds over LGD, they would actually be sitting in semis.
I actually agree. Like, yeah. I mean, I feel like, okay, chat, probably you're and you're like, the fuck is that? Who the fuck buys that LPL after saying V5 in semis? V5 were, dude. V5 had a mediocre top laner, a mediocre carry, but best junk support outside of the top teams. Better than Soon, better than ADG. So that's top esports.
You get a little Robotronic there, Lyric. You might want to give that one another go.
Dude, I just want to blame internet.
But yeah,
let me pull my
definitely I think V5, if they'd made it.
Wait, Shanghai kicked up, chat agrees.
Look, if that's not a thing of beauty, I don't know what is, you know?
Beautiful. I'd let you pour.
Damn.
Beautiful.
That's a true alcoholic right there. Look at that glass.
We have about 10 pint glasses in the cupboard.
There's a thin line between connoisseur and alcoholic, and I like to think I ride that perfectly, all right?
You got this. This is one of the fences that it's good to sit on, okay?
No, my fucking my alcoholic level is just dog shit right now. Like my tolerance used to be so good in college. Now I'm 4 White Claws deep and I feel it like pretty heavy, you know? Whereas before, like in college, I literally was at the point where I would never get a hangover. Didn't matter. I could drink until I threw up, never get a hangover. You know, it was the glorious state of just alcoholism.
I do think part of that, especially the hangover part, is being young as well. Like I think the recovery speed is a lot better when you're young. All right. So let's hit up some of these questions. So I'm seeing a couple of people asking about Fnatic Bjergsen. I've not heard any rumors about this. I've not seen this before. Like, what do you guys have? You guys heard?
Dude, I want to hear Dobbs' take. I want to hear it. He looks prime, dude.
I don't want to hear. I don't want to even hear my own take because the thing is, like, I'm friends with Bjergsen. I've always been good with him, but at this point, like, at what point, like, dude, he's definitely not in the prime of his career. Why would Fnatic go for a player like Bjergsen? I feel like they had the perfect angle that they did before, where they went for like a young and you know
which
you know ready
they did with
mid-laner.
Reckless as well, by the way.
Yeah, of course, but I mean, Reckless was kind of a proven quantity. Like, I mean, I guess if you're talking about season 2 when he just came in, to like IPL 5, at that point he was unknown. But when they really like decided on him, season 4, like he had already like everyone just knew he was going to be one of the best carries in 80 carries in Europe. I just feel like you don't want a player like Bjergsen on a team that's trying to win a championship right now. Like I feel like Bjergsen, he's good. He's gonna do like he's gonna do what he does, but he's past his prime. You know, he's not gonna win you a world championship. Like I don't think there'll ever be a point where I'll consider Bjergsen better than Caps. Like that just it is what it is, you know. Like I feel like it just is like he's reached his limit. He's on the decline. That's fine. He had a really good career. He's like one of the best Western players of all time. He's probably the best Western player, in my opinion, of NA ever. I put him over Double Lift, etc. But he's not the player you want. Like, I feel like if you're Fnatic, you did the right thing the first time going with Nemesis. You just got to try to find somebody else because Nemesis didn't work with your team. Maybe somebody that is more aggressive, naturally speaking. Because the problem with Fnatic when I look at them is that they have like a 2v2v1 in voice comms at all points, right? And if you've watched their mic checks throughout the year, it's very evident.
I just saw the Omega nod from Jordan here. He agrees.
Dude, it's fucking true.
It's literally a Blippo and Hilly versus Nemesis and Reckless versus Selfmade, no matter what point you get into every voice comm. Like, Selfmade would be like, go in, you fucking virgins. And then Hilly will like be like, all right, like let's fight around the fucking dragon. Like, okay, we can go here. Like they're fucking they're inting. And then you have like Nemesis and Reckless like, back the fuck off. Like, everyone run. Like, it's crazy how that shit works out. And it's like, you can't even get to the same conclusion. You can't even improve it as a team when that ends up being how your voice comms look, because the players have such a different, distinct style throughout all the players. Like, if you have 4 players that want to play one style and one player that wants to play another, then you can kind of like, you know, you can work it in. You can get that other player to adapt to what the rest of the team needs. But when you're playing in a team like Fnatic, where it's like a 2 versus 2 versus 1, where there's 3 different opinions of how the situation should be played, naturally, you don't improve that fast because it's so rare that you get into a situation where all 5 members are on the same page, and then they can learn from what happens in the situation. Because, like, when you watch Fnatic play, it feels like they're always on different pages. Like, even if they decide, like, Hilly goes in, Blippo goes in, and they decide to fight it, it's like Nemesis and Reckless won't fully commit. They'll always play it, and through their play, you can see the skepticism. You're like, these motherfuckers don't actually want to fight, do they? Like, they really don't want to fight. They're being forced to fight because they see their whole team going in. But do they really want to fight? Are they, like, flashing forward? Reckless got better about this throughout the year, where he just follows Hilly no matter what. But as a team, it's just not cohesive. And I feel like that's not a team that's going to win Worlds. So you need to make roster adjustments in order to actually, like, have that team succeed.
I remember, just real quick, Robbie, can make your there was a clip that got upvoted to Reddit once where Hilly was going in and engaging in a team fight as Reckless was, like, backing and trying to recall. Like, they never looked like they were on the same page with what they wanted to do. It was always really disappointing. And I feel like Fnatic, I guess, just in a conversation we're having, but for next year, right, they need to decide, what do they want to build around? Do they want to build around these, like, crazy aggro players like Blippo and Hilly? Do they want to build around Selfmade, maybe the best option, who's really good? Or do they want to build around someone like Reckless, who is more tempered, but obviously in that quarterfinal, fucking insane?
So Reckless is a beast, bro. I think that Reckless, like, let's go with him, man. Go for it.
I have a bit of a spicy take for this one. I think that Perks is going to get fed up playing AD carry on G2. I think we've already seen with Caps and Perks swip swapping all the time. I think Perks leaves G2 in the AD carry role and goes mid lane for Fnatic.
No fucking way, dude. No fucking way. Even if he did, he would just be like team manager for G2 or something. There's no way Perks leaves G2. Not a fucking hope.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know. I just can't see that man. I think that man is just torturing himself in the AD carry role. He doesn't look like he wants to be there.
Dude, as someone who's played it for 8 years, AD carry sucks, man. Like, he's definitely torturing himself as a mid laner playing AD carry, but I don't think he would ever leave G2.
I don't know. I just feel like he's not past his prime in a mid lane position. I still think he can do really well, and the only way I see that happening is if he does skip from G2 or they end up pushing Caps out. That's the only way.
I was gonna say I feel like G2 would lose Caps before they lose Perks. Maybe. I honestly believe that.
Yep.
Yeah, I can see that actually.
Okay, well then his Caps goes back to Fnatic. That's
Caps Fnatic.
But I think there's something that has
Fnatic finally world champions. No.
Think about how good Fnatic would have been if they had Caps instead of Nemesis.
This year, it would have been insane. That's actually a Western team that could, like, topple everyone. That's a Western team that could come in as a favorite. Honestly, that's the difference that makes. So I saw another question in chat earlier that I want to bring up. So I think it was Hilia in chat. I wanted to ask. So LCK and LPL teams, they play best of 3. They're doing consistently better across the board in international tournaments. LCS and LEC do not play best of 3. Do you guys, A, think that will make a difference if these two regions did start playing best of 3, would that improve international performance? And B, do you think that the leagues would actually go in for that? Because they tried it in the past, and for viewership numbers, it didn't work out. But that was, like 4 years ago, I think it was, 5 years ago?
Well, Dom, you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
Sure. I don't think it will ever happen ever because they tried it and it failed, and Riot is scared to fucking change. And the numbers in NA specifically are dwindling. Maybe they could do it for LEC, not for LCS. LCS is like so scary as it is. Imagine if they start broadcasting best of 3. We got Immortals versus Dignitas, dude. Holy shit, I wouldn't even co-stream that. That would be the point where I'm just like, you know what, motherfuckers, you can have your co-stream. I am out. I would rather just fucking like play with my dog or some shit. Like, I will not watch that series. So maybe for LEC it could work. What I think the route should be, instead of best of 3s, I think expansion could be really good for LEC. I feel like if LEC went from 10 to 12 teams, we saw how it worked with LPL. Obviously, there's some bad teams because LPL like went to like fucking 17 or some shit. But I think you could field like 12 teams that are pretty competitive in LEC. If you look at LEC,
when you look at EU Masters, right?
Yeah, you look at EU Masters, but just in general, right? Like LEC, the worst team in the league was 6-10. The teams that made playoffs were like 8-8. So it's not like it was a massive difference between the teams that were like 6th that were competing to potentially go to Worlds, or the teams that like were completely out of it. So I feel like when the league is that competitive, that's an angle for expansion. In NA, you still have the huge difference between top and bottom, so I feel like it wouldn't work there.
Dom, it didn't change best of 3. You retired, right? It was always just fun when you played.
Yeah, I played best of 1s for my entire career. Outside of obviously like playoffs and stuff.
Would you have liked to play best of 3?
Oh hell yeah!
I was coming from like coaching in LMS, where in LMS when I started we were best of 3, then we moved to best of 2, and then I left into regions that were best of 1. Best of 3 were by far the best, but I even felt like no matter how much EU fans meme best of 2 is better than best of 1. Because you still get to come in with either 2 prepared drafts, like 2 different strategies, or you could be a team that actually wants to adapt from series to series, which is so much more important. The fact that your practice is more meaningful, because the fact that as a pro team, I'm spending like 5 to 6 days a week practicing to play 1 or 2 best of 1s in a weekend blows my mind, instead of potentially playing 6 games if I play 2 best of 3s. Like,
well, you get to adapt.
It blows my mind.
When you play best of 1s, it's like everyone just kind of like gets their comfortable champions throughout the week, and like you have your own champion pool, and then you get into the best of 1s, right? Like it's normally 2 best of 1s a weekend, and it's just like you end up with random team comps. You don't actually get to play strategies because there's no like fallback. It's not like, oh shit, we played one strategy, it failed, let's go to the other one. Like if you lose that first game, it's a fucking loss, right? Like it's tallied up in the column. And at the end of the day, like maybe it's a little bit better now because there's 8 teams that qualify from NA to playoffs. I don't know why.
Oh god, dude!
But like there's 5 to 13 teams.
It's something.
So now, like at least it's like, oh, we're probably gonna make playoffs either way. So there's more room for experimentation. But in general, it just feels bad to like play that type of format because group stage, yeah, it's best of 1s. At Worlds, so maybe it's kind of an advantage, but at the same time, LPL just plays so many more games, right? Like you look at how many teams or how many games a team like Top has played throughout the year, and you compare that to a team like Team Liquid. It's like, oh shit, like Top's played like 40% more games, 60% more games, some shit like that. It's way better for the teams that have played more as a team because that's where you get like all your practice in. Yeah, go for it.
To give that a bit of perspective, like I think the other caster from LPL who is in here, Hysterics, gave us a perspective, and he told us we casted like 170 like games or series. I can't remember what it was, but we casted so many fucking series this season. It's like, dude, can you imagine playing like 300 games in a year on stage? Like that's actually mind blowing to me coming from coaching. That like, holy shit, these LBL players played like 300 fucking games.
There's a lot of players that don't hit 300 games in solo queue a year, right? Like 300 games in solo queue is actually a reasonable number for your average player. Like, can you imagine playing that on stage?
Yeah, I haven't played that much solo queue like this year compared to like previous years, and my main account has like 350 games. I barely played this year compared to like how I used to play. So, I mean, It's a lot of fucking games on stage. Plus, like, that's how it used to be back in the day. I mean, maybe I sound like a fucking boomer, but when I started playing in
We're all
season 2,
boomers here. Don't worry.
Dude, I remember IPL 5, dude. I
This is the
remember
boomer
good
brain
days.
trust.
yeah, you know, IPL 5 was the only international tournament we didn't qualify for as Team Dignitas in season 2.
Yeah,
because we were in Korea at the time competing in OGN, which is like old school LCK. So we had to play the qualifiers for IPL 5 on like 250 ping, and we just couldn't even beat like the 8th place and 8 teams with like 250 ping. It was just too bad. So I came from the era where you used to only play best of 3s. You only played best of series. Like the first round of a tournament would be best of 3s or best of 5s, and you'd have a losers bracket. It was normally best of 3s. What happened to fucking losers brackets and best of 5s, Matt? Like, why do we have losers brackets in World that used to be just the formula that you used to determine who the best teams were?
So
I
actually have a real answer for you there, because for context of anyone at home that doesn't know my background, I worked a lot in production. And when you talk to producers that worked in television and terrestrial sports, they refer to it as, but essentially like baseball, football, etc., etc. The concept of double elimination is not super fucking simple. It is, but if you've never heard of it and you don't know anything about tournament formats, single elimination is like, that is default tournament. That is, everyone can understand this. If you lose, you're out. If you don't, you win, right? With double elimination, it's harder to explain, and just that enough more effort and enough more difficult for the viewers at home to understand that is enough of a turnoff for television that people don't want to do it. And I have, like, my entire career, I have been fighting against the mentality of single elimination is easy to explain, therefore we do single elimination. Because I'm not going to lie, I fucking hate single elimination. But, like, tournament formats like Swiss, for example, tournament formats like double elimination, GSL Swiss groups, like, these tournament formats are significantly better in so many ways. But the fact that you have to, like, have a big discussion with someone to persuade them that they are better is the reason that it's so difficult to get them in the mainstream, because you have to somehow explain all of that to the viewers as well.
I want to say the only good thing to me about the discussion is the fact that we have double elim to qualify 2 regions to Worlds.
Exactly.
Right.
We don't have double elim at Worlds.
It
makes no sense.
Dude, it does make sense. You just need to read the fucking Bevvies tweet where they explain to you that Worlds is just about finding the best team in the world. But it's not actually about, like, placing, like, the 2 through 8 teams in terms of, like, how good they actually are. So that's why you don't need double elimination. But meanwhile, in fucking NA, we got Dignitas with 5 wins and 13 losses qualifying for playoffs. Yeah, I want to see a best of 5 between them and TSM. Thank fucking God I got to live view that. Holy shit. Great logic. I love it.
All right.
I actually watched those games, like the lower teams in NA playoffs.
Why?
Dude, I don't know. I'm asking myself that. I came from that aspect.
It was a long weekend, let me tell you.
His favorite team from spring was V5, the team that set the record for the worst loss streak in LPL history. Is the team that Lyric was
history, wasn't it?
Dude, yeah. Mo's a fucking beast. Mo's a top 5.
Did he play like 9 roles or some shit? He played 9 roles.
9 out of the 5 roles, yeah.
Dude,
and there was Nico in all of them.
Dude, he played all of them. Most fucking amazing. You can't convince me otherwise. V5 jersey on right here. They are the 4th best LPL team. LGD, you stole my boy's chances.
Like, let's move away from the Church of V5 here. Dom, what were you gonna say?
Well, I was just gonna ask, how the fuck do you get V5 merch, man? These LPL motherfuckers are stingy with me, man. You gotta be in China, so I gotta go to China. Oh my God.
That's tough right now. I'm not gonna lie, that's a challenge right now with the way the world is. So I want to throw to a third question. I saw it in chat. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know who asked it. I saw it in chat about an hour ago. So there are rumors that Shadow potentially could go to the LPL, and I want to get your guys' takes on, first off, how Shadow would do in the LPL. Second off, if you think that, because if I'm not mistaken, that would be the first ever Western transfer into the LPL. So
I do want to add, I think Peter Dunn said it right. He tested 4 LPL teams. He actually has LPL residency from what I understand.
Yep.
So he actually counts as an E. But
yeah.
Can you say that again, Jordan? Because you lagged a little bit there.
Okay. I mean, Yeah, so it's literally just that he has LPL residency. So he counts as an import in EU, but the reason why he did that was because he trialed with LDL teams and stuff like that during 2019. And they decided that, like, because there's no imports within EU, it's more worthwhile. Like, I mean, there's like 3 imports within all of LEC, right? So it's more worthwhile for him to just maintain the LPL residency just in case he does play in China.
Got it. Okay.
So, and going back to your question, I think it would be hard for him to play in China. Though I think he's good, right? He had a good year. I think it kind of sucks to just judge him on his bad Worlds performance. It's disappointing, right? It seemed like he had a champion pool issue at the end of the day, but right, guys, I mean, we've watched LPL all year. I feel like every LPL team has a decent to good jungler other than LNG. I feel like XX is the only jungler in LPL that I can say, I think this guy's bad. I even feel like DMO, right?
OMG. Maybe OMG.
No, but I think Hacker's fine. Like,
Hacker's
like
fine.
sure. Like,
some good games.
could you replace Hacker, Xiaopeng, like a couple of these guys with Shadow potentially to be an upgrade? Sure, but honestly, jungle was the best role in LPL this year. Every year it's been 80 carry, but this year it was jungle 100%. You looked at jungles like Wei, you looked at Ning, you looked at Junjao.
What about Meteor, bro? What about Meteor? Meteor was like one of my favorite junglers in the league.
Dude, Meteor was great. I thought Meteor was amazing. Like, that was the problem here. You go to like the 13th place team, dude. You go to Rogue Warriors. Rogue Warriors were 15th. Haro is still fucking insane. Like, junglers in LPL, I feel like are cut from a different cloth this year.
Yeah. What about when you get to the bottom of the barrel in NA? We got Smithy. Yeah, he's 75 years old, but he's still competing. Like, he's there, 10th place in NA.
Listen, right, when Sejuani comes back into the meta, man, he's fucking there, you know.
Dude, I don't want to...
The screenshots are ready.
Do you guys remember the Smithy Sejuani meme? Where it's like every time you miss an ulti, it was like Smith. I actually was playing in the best of 5 against Smithy's team when he missed all those ultimates. Like, I literally watched all those just go straight past me in the games. I was like, oh shit.
Was it so? My question is, was it a meme like within your comms during that series?
No, it was just like we just flamed him like permanently. We were like, this guy just like he literally just missed every Sejuani. Because the thing is, like, so like Sejuani was super broken, right? It was Cinderhawk meta. So we would just get Sejuani and we'd win, and then they're like, we're gonna take away Sejuani, and they just lose, and they gave us back Sejuani, and we just won again. And it was like, okay, this team is just bad. So we were like I remember Piglet was just flaming double lift in the comms the entire time. He's like, this guy thinks he's good. Like, holy shit. There's some recordings of it somewhere. I remember hearing it.
Holy shit, dude.
Jesus.
These are the stories I wanted.
Was this ever
uploaded? Why we need him on this show.
Mate, you should upload. If you've got that video somewhere, you should upload that shit.
No, it was in our video series. It was
You will only
I remember.
get this recording if everyone tweets at Riot to give Dom back his co-stream. That's how we get access.
That's the only way. It's the only way.
I honestly think we're getting further away from it than closer to it based on my interactions with Riot casters recently. I mean, luckily, like, LPL is just some like it's like this whole like different area where it's like you guys are kind of affiliated with Riot, but at the same time you're not like forced to hate me. Like, direct Riot shit is just like they're just coming at me as a fucking whole. Like, all the casters are banding together like, fuck this kid. Like, we're gonna take him down ourselves. So I mean, it's rough out here.
I want to throw out anyone who gives viewership, not just to LPL, but puts like viewership on like lower tier, whether it's casters, content creators. In my opinion, a good person. Dom, you do that. You're fucking awesome.
Agreed.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Dom, the fact that you're even on this show with us mere plebs, like, this is not a show that gets a lot of viewers. Let's be realistic here. That says a lot about you as a person. So thank you for joining us.
I like getting drunk and talking about League. It's fucking awesome.
Me fucking too. That's why I started the show.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
So there's one question that has been fucking spammed in the chat. So I'm just gonna bring it up with you guys. I don't know, like, I feel like I'm out of the loop with rumors and shit, but everyone is asking me about IG upset in the chat.
IG upset.
So, guys, is this a rumor? Like, do you guys know anything about this? What are your opinions about this?
I'll say this got posted on, I think, a month or so, where you saw it was Upset's agent message him on Twitter that IG are potentially interested in him. I think this would be a weird choice, man. Like, China has so many players. I don't understand why we would import. It doesn't make sense to me. Upset's good. He's fine. Like, I'm sure he would do good in LPL, but
he doesn't speak Mandarin?
Think it makes. Yeah, I tuned into
Just get
Dom's
right in
post
there.
stream earlier for
Yeah.
1 second, and I learned that the quality of certain champions like Renekton is how good you speak Mandarin. So
Yep.
I don't know. I have a
Graves
lot of like
too.
hype.
Graves
Yeah,
too.
there could be certain AD carry champions that, depending on how good you speak Mandarin, is how good you play. So
Yeah, it's
I don't know
Ezreal.
if I agree with this
I'll tell
move.
you. It's an Ezreal pick. That's what it is.
I feel like there's a significant chance that G2 as a team speaks Mandarin. I'm just gonna throw that out there because I feel like they're the
Push
only
Renekton-
team
well,
outside of
Renekton,
China that
dude.
can play that shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know, man. I think that it could make sense. I mean, IG's 80k Puff, like, if he didn't do it for me, I would say I would take upset over him.
He had some good
That's all.
Do you
series.
remember? Do you remember? No. Do you remember the LGD series where Botlane got shit on every
Oh!
single game, and Mark got to be everywhere with Peanut, making his niddle, and his niddly was great. Peanut's niddly
Yeah.
and that series was amazing. but
Leona,
Mark-
Marcus played Leona every
yeah,
game.
he was
Yeah,
always
look
there,
at it as
dude.
well.
He was always right next to him because their bot lane sucked. Kalista against Ezreal, they lose. Ezreal against Kalista, they lose. They lost everything. It blew my mind. And Ning
Yeah.
got all the blame for it.
Yeah, Nick got all the blame
All
because
right.
he clears like he has 500 ping. But realistically speaking, like I felt like Puff somehow looked even worse than Bala in that series. For me, that was just purely impressive. Like I was like, damn, this guy must
Look.
really suck because like Bala, everyone loves flaming that guy.
Balan had some
Did
highlights
you
though.
see, did you see the
Dude.
Ningo challenge that came out?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I do want to
That
highlight.
was hilarious.
I did it myself, and I was able to
Alright.
hit 250, and this guy did it 258. Like obviously, he's just playing in a pro game and he's like tabbing through his lanes and stuff, but like that was a pretty atrociously bad clear. Like you have to really try hard to fuck up that clear.
I just find it hilarious that the Chinese community is like, let's just quickly check what his clear was on this champion so that we can flame the fuck out of him on wave.
I do
Oh,
want to highlight. I'll let you
Dude,
go, Tom.
No, I was just saying, like, I'm drunk right now. Put me in a fucking practice store right now. I'll clear faster than that. Like, that is just a disgusting clear that Ning did there. Like, that was an atrociously bad clear.
Dude, I'll give it a
I wanna
go.
go-
I'll give it a
I
go.
want to go back to the Balan point. The only funny thing about Balan, there was one Nautilus game where every single Q hits the terrain right next to the fucking enemy team, and it's like, dude, it just looks so bad. He always queued into LGD and gave them a free kill, but I agree with Dom. I think Puff was worse than Balan in that series. But again, Puff kept getting like
All right.
stronger matchups and kept losing lane.
Let me
It made no sense.
let me just throw something into the conversation here and just like it's like a juicy little bit of bait. Let's see if the Sharks attack it. What about if Hope joined IG? Where would you stand on that? Because Hope was like the
Dom, wait, Dom, did you watch any EDG?
I watched some EDG, but I wasn't really impressed. So
Hope-
I don't have like a good opinion on Hope. Like it's like the same way that people like randomly were hyping like Mystic in Africa, where like I saw him play and he was okay, but like the team was just not good enough to compete with the top teams. So I didn't actually care that much. Like I don't have a good opinion of Hope, I would say.
So Hope in spring was really good. Hope in summer had a I think it was like a lung issue. So he actually got subbed out for like 4 series. Then he came back in, he was kind of mediocre, but Hope in spring was really good. I think if Hope was on IG, I honestly think IG would have beat LGD, but I still don't know if I think it was good enough. Like, right, Hope kind of reminds me of like Huanfeng in a way that sure he's like good right now. I think Huanfeng's better than Hope, but he's still not at like an S tier level, right? I even think a lot of Hope's games in spring came down to how EDG play the game, not necessarily how good Hope is. But yeah, I think they would have definitely beaten LGD. I honestly think Puff kind of single-handedly lost that initial semifinal and
we're looking
Balan, but
at LPL talent, I feel like Betty would do really well on that team.
true.
Like take
Man,
Metaphor.
hang on.
I have such a bad opinion of Betty because of his time on Flash
Like,
Wolves.
hang
but,
on.
I mean,
yeah.
Let's just take something in context here. Aside from Betty, Betty's not even a part of the conversation when it comes to Betty. Like, we know RNG is a team that will very willingly enact contract hell. I don't see a universe where Betty goes to IG. I just don't see that
Dude,
ever happening.
where
It
the
was
fuck
just
is
in my
Uzi?
head.
That's my question. Where the fuck is Uzi? Because I've been spectating Chinese local. Yo, shout out to fucking Tencent and all those guys that actually got me an account on LPL so I can do it or on the Chinese Super Server so I can do it legally. But think like I've been watching Uzi play. He's still better than like every AD I see.
Well,
he's actually still like the best fucking AD I've seen.
I'm gonna say we can't talk about it on the show.
No.
I will message you afterwards.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
there's some complications there with Mr. Uzi. But you know who I think would be an interesting pickup for IG would be if they got someone like, man, even AD carries like Jung Wooji from Rogue Warriors, I think would be kind of I think Wink's overrated. Wink's the AD carry for E-Star, for anyone who doesn't know.
Yeah.
E-Star were a team who funneled everything into bot lane. Like fucking Wei would their jungler would pick Jarvan, level 2 gank every single game. Didn't matter red side or blue side. He level 2 gank spot. Shao-Ci and Wink at everything. I agree with Dom. I think Betty's okay. I think Betty can be an average.
Dude, he's like
carry.
Kramer for me, man. He's
Yes.
like, okay, man. It's like you're the same guy, bro. Like if you sub them out and you put Betty on fucking LGD, I'd be like, all right, dude. It's just fucking Kramer 2.0.
To me,
That's kind of what you want
To
with
me,
IG, right? Just let
Betty-
the Shy do the thing.
Betty
That's
is
true to an
Kramer
extent, yeah.
I don't want to
without
see the
rain
Shy
and-
do his thing anymore. Like,
I'm fucking hurt.
Dude, IG
shit.
Bin. That's what I'm talking about. Bin's the Shy
Oh,
2.0.
Nah,
Maybe
IG
he needs to
dude,
join.
Sooning is chilling, bro. Just fucking contract prison all those players. Fuck it.
Dude, no, you know who I hate is Curse, which again, I'm sure Dom didn't watch much OMG. Curse was the best player on this team.
Yeah.
Dude, Curse was my 4th best LPL top laner. His team finished 14th. Like, it blows my mind. His Fiora outplay against Flandre, fucking
God.
amazing. Like,
Bro,
He
I've
had
been
like
a
a
Flandre
1v3 as
fanboy.
well.
Dude, I've been a Flandre fanboy since literally Snake in season 5. So in season 5, I had like a Chinese coach who is Peter Zhang. who-
Peter, yeah.
So he will like put me on because that was the first. So LPL was the first region to ever come out with the pro views, and he put me on a bunch of the pro views. So I used to watch a fuck ton of LPL in like season 5. And Snake and Flandre, like Beast was my boy. I fucking
Dude.
love that team back in season 5. So
Dude,
I
the
watched a ton of
Draven?
Flandre. Yep. Yeah, the
fucking loved it.
Draven, I forget the fucking player's name, but yeah, that guy was just insane. I loved watching that team, man. Like Beast was just like one of my favorite fucking junglers just because of the way he played. Fun fact, in season 5, my challenger account was named VG10WoW World 6 because he was like one of my favorite junglers in LPL. So I loved LPL junglers, man. I've been watching that shit for a while.
God damn. All right,
Let's
well,
get a drink. I'll be back in 1 second.
well, I was just going to say,
Oh, yeah,
Dagda,
Crystal.
we'd just be on the 2-hour mark. So I think we are sort of coming to a close here.
Dude, it is 5 Shanghai. I don't know why I'm still awake. I don't know why I'm kind of drunk right now, but you guys did it. So congratulations.
I'm
I
on
would-
4 White Claws deep, and dude, if you have no alcohol tolerance, 4 White Claws will get you on one. So I'm
yeah.
All right.
I still
wanna-
have my Heineken.
I got my claws.
Before I close out the show here today, I just want to ask one more quick question, and we'll just have like a little hit on it, and then we'll close out. Okay. What do you guys think about Armut? Because Armut had a fucking amazing tournament at Worlds, and there are rumors about him joining the LEC.
I'll start because again, so I coached Flamingo last year, and we actually played against Armut. We played against Royal in our group. We beat them the first time. We lost the second, lost in the tiebreaker. Breaks my heart. Shrimp was a fucking god, but I think Armut's really good. Armut's been at the top of US solo queue for a long time. He plays carries. He plays tanks. Dude, watching him in that series against Mad Lions, well, the Malphite, dude, the Malphite 2v1 when he dove turret, almost killed both of them, was laughing his ass off. It blew my mind. This guy is just so fucking good. I'd be excited to see him in the US, like in LEC.
Yep. I'm just kind of scared about his like carry potential. Like a lot of the games where he popped off in, he's playing Sion, he's playing Malphite, all those types of picks. Shen, etc. Wukong was obviously his famous carry pick. I just wonder like if that was a lack of scouting from Mad Lions, like if they just weren't able to actually determine what his champion pool was, or like how good Armut actually is at like the wide variety of top laners. Because when you go into LEC, you're not just playing against fucking Arome. Like you gotta remember, Arome, I've played this for like literally like a full year straight. He was the epitome of a weak side top laner. Armut, I want to see how he plays against Alfari when they're playing for carry versus carry, because there's players within LEC that are really fucking
Wonder
insane.
as well.
Wonder, Whippo, like all these guys are really insane, and I feel like they're a level above Armut. So I feel like Armut could potentially fill that like, weak side top lane that fucking Mad Lions want so desperately, so they can play around cards, they can play around humanoid, the high resource heavy players. But I just wonder if like he'll actually be able to compete with the top tier top laners within LEC.
Yeah, when I look at him, I don't see like top tier in LEC, but I definitely think he'd be maybe sixth-ish kind of position. And I think that'll be like good enough, as you say, get him on the right team where he can play weak side, you get him on the Shen, whatever these tanks, he'll be fine, he'll do his job. And honestly, he's got great outplay potential, so if you do see a lot of members starting to group up and try and dive him, he's more than capable of dealing with it. So I think he could do pretty well. It's just getting the right team for him.
I mean, 6, like, so top laners we think will be better than for sure are Alfari, Wonder, Whippo.
Whippo, yeah.
I even think, right, like, I don't necessarily think Cowboy Shard will be much better. I don't think IWDominate is necessarily great. Kryze is still new.
I think IWDominate would be better. Kryze is a weird player because he's the opposite of Armut, right? Where he's not good on tanks, but he's good on all the fucking carries. Yep. So, like, if you give Kryze Camille, if you give him, like, good games for a Jax or whatever, or Wukong, he'll be able to play all those picks really well. So I think that it's pretty interesting. I would love to see those players play against each other.
Yeah.
Split, so I can really analyze that.
I think all of us agree that he won't necessarily be a Wonder, Whippo, Alfari, maybe IWDominate. He'll definitely be competitive, and it'll probably be an upgrade to what Mad Lions have now. So
yes, bro, my ball sack's an upgrade to what they have right now. Like, come on, dude. Come on, Romeo, dude.
Wait. Like, it's okay. So are you Shubin in LEC top lane?
Maybe
I'm not gonna lie.
Put him in the Caitlyn top.
At this point, I'm just really interested in what Dom can do with his ball sack at the top lane, because that's a whole different stream. I don't know if that's allowed on this website, but I'm interested.
On this website. We can set up a chatterbait link, and we can see
OnlyFans. That's for OnlyFans.
True. OnlyFans probably monetize better. Yeah, no, I'm down with that.
All right. Well, on that one, I think that's about the last topic of the night. So thank you, gentlemen, for joining me here. I'm just going to do a quick whip around. Give us a shout out to your socials, to whatever you're doing right now. We'll go Jordan, then we'll go Dagda, and then we'll finish on you, Dom.
Okay. So there, unfortunately, sucks. It's at Jordan Corby, LOL. I can't make it lyric. I'll lose my check mark. The check mark is too valuable, guys. It's all I'm
worth. You're that streamer, right? You're that guy that does the variety streaming. I've heard of
Yeah. He plays tons of PUBG.
I'm like LIRRRIK.
Yeah, you got that fucking funky looking cat. Like, I don't like that cat that much.
Yeah.
But,
look,
punch the monitor.
Honestly, I don't give a fuck about my socials. Watch LPL. Watch the shows I'm on. Tell Dom to bring me back on the Crackdown because that was fun as fuck, even though NA fans flamed the fuck out of us. And that's it. You guys are awesome.
Nice. All right, Dagda, you.
Twitter is DagdaCasts. I will start streaming at some stage, possibly. But that's kind of it for me at the moment. And watch LPL, watch Bevvies with the boys, and we'll keep this going.
What a gamer. All right, Dom, finish us out here.
I live view a bunch of League of Legends and Flame players. If you like seeing the more harsh analysis and commentary that you can't really get on the broadcast, you can always watch my live views. Twitch.tv/IWDominate, IWDominate LOL on Twitter. And then I just upload like highlights and stuff to YouTube, IWD clips, and IWDominate LOL on YouTube. Yep.
Great. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. This has been Bevvies with the boys. I've been Munchables, and these guys have been the boys. We're going to close it out here, so make sure you follow them all on Twitter, follow them on whatever other social medias. This VOD will be uploaded to YouTube after the show today. I'll set it up, export it immediately, so please do check that out. Go and subscribe on YouTube if you missed half of the show, because it's been a fucking spicy episode, I'm not going to lie. Dom has thrown some hot takes in there, that's for sure. But that's going to be it for us. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for joining, guys, once again. And we'll see you next week after the semi-finals.